Welcome to the Georgia Dome in Atlanta. It's Sun Belt football on ESPN as today the Georgia Southern Eagles and the Georgia State Panthers meet for the first time ever. Final Saturday in October, Georgia Southern continues to be the talk of the Sun Belt in their very first season in the league. The Eagles on top of the conference at 4-0. Georgia State at the bottom still looking for their first ever Sun Belt win. And good afternoon, I'm Matt Stewart, joined by former Fresno State coach Pat Hill. And Pat, these two teams share the same initials, GSU. They're in the same state, now in the same conference. This has the makings of a really good rivalry for the Sun Belt.
I think it's going to be a great rivalry. At this time, Georgia Southern, with 6 national championships under their belt, has a head start on the upstart Georgia State. But I believe within time, this will become a great rivalry.
Game of football can be simple today. Georgia State's got to stop Georgia Southern on the ground. Eagles 372 on the ground per game. That's number 1 in the nation, led by their quarterback, Kevin Ellison, and their running back, Matt Breida.
Well, when you're playing against the option, it's all about assignment football. It's about discipline, but most of all, it's about discipline of assignment. And today, Georgia State's going to have to be on task.
And for Georgia State to have a chance, they've got to have a big game from their quarterback, Nick Arbuckle. The Panthers have the number 1 passing team in the Sun Belt.
Yeah, Nick Arbuckle's got a live arm. He's very accurate. He's a great competitor, but it's going to come down to the offensive line. The offensive line is going to have to hold up to give Nick a chance to show off his arm today.
It's the Georgia State Panthers and the Georgia Southern Eagles meeting for the 319th time in athletics, but for the first time ever in football. And we'll have the opening kick coming up next. Back at the Georgia Dome, Georgia Southern and Georgia State getting ready to kick off. And, Coach, Eagles have won 4 straight games since their last loss, a 42-38 defeat across town at Georgia Tech. In fact, Coach, they are 5 points away. Their other loss, a 1-point defeat at NC State. They're 5 points away from being undefeated on the season.
Not only are they 5 points away from being undefeated, last year, as we all remember, they beat the Florida Gators in the Swamp to end the season and end their run as an FCS football school.
Willie Fritz in his first season as the Georgia Southern head coach, his 22nd season overall with 181 victories. He's won national championships at Blinn Junior College. And, Coach, he played for the national championship 2 years in a row at Sam Houston State.
Boy, they had great teams. I remember watching them on TV. Outstanding football teams. This is an outstanding program, starting with Eric Russell back in 1981. Paul Johnson also coached there. Their line of greatness has lasted a long time, and Georgia State is just getting started here with Trent Miles in their 5th year of football. And as a matter of fact, their last season in FCS football, they were 1-10 when he took over the program. So the strides that have to be made at Georgia State are going to be great strides to take, but I think Trent Miles can get it done here.
Overall, his 7th season as a head coach, his 2nd at Georgia State, 21-54 his record, did a nice rebuilding job at his alma mater, Indiana State, before he came here to Georgia State. And I know, Coach, you're very familiar with Trent. He was on your staff at Fresno State.
Yeah, he was on my staff for 3 years, 97 through 1999. Trent is a very energetic football coach. His record doesn't speak for the type of programs he has taken over. He took a program over in Terre Haute, Indiana that hadn't won, and they won. He will win here at Georgia State. It's just going to take him a little bit longer than even he anticipates, I believe.
Well, this will be almost like a home game for Georgia Southern. They have a large crowd here, anticipating over 10,000 Georgia Southern fans here. And you can see the whiteout across the way from us. Their fans wearing the white today to match their team's white uniforms. And Georgia Southern calling the Georgia Dome Paulson North. Of course, Paulson Stadium in Statesboro is their home venue.
Well, look here on this opening kickoff, maybe a little trickery out of the Georgia State Panthers. When you're playing a big game like this, look for a little change-up.
Avery Sweeting will take the opening kickoff, and Sweeting gets cut down at the 24-yard line. And that is where the Georgia State Panthers will start. DeShanti Gallen on the special teams tackle for the Eagles. And the Panthers will start at their own 24-yard line, led by their quarterback, Nick Arbuckle. He's a 6'1", 215 junior by way of Pierce Junior College in California. He has completed close to 61% of his passes, averaging just under 295 a game.
with 12 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. Empty set for the Panthers. First catch is caught by their outstanding tight end, Joel Ruiz. Tackle made by Edwin Jackson. And that is close to a first down for the Panthers.
Well, if they give them off coverage like that, that'll be stealing all day. I don't see that easier route being there all day for them, but as long as it is, Georgia State will keep taking it.
Ruiz with his 32nd catch of the season. And the handoff goes to Marcus Caffey, and Caffey picks up the first down. Caffey started the season as a cornerback, but an outstanding running back in high school here in Atlanta at Grady High School. Originally signed with the University of Kentucky. Ended up going to Iowa Western Community College. And back here at Georgia State, forced into duty when injuries to Kyler Neal and John Bart forced him to move from the defensive side of the ball to the offensive side of the ball. On first down, they swing it out there to Harden. Donovan Harden, who had a big game last week, dropped in his tracks by Antonio Glover, the safety.
Great play by Antonio Glover. He reacts to this football from about 7-8 yards depth. And on the replay, if we get a replay here, you'll see it. Outstanding play.
So second down and 11 now. Glover with 36 tackles on the season. That leads the secondary for the Eagles.
A little bit of empty. See how they do here.
Second time they've gone empty, coach, on the first 3 plays. Blitz coming off the edge by Gallen. They go deep, and it is caught over the shoulder inside the 30-yard line. Big time catch by Avery Sweeting.
Well, one of the things Trent Miles talked about is they have to win the one-on-one matchups. They're one-on-one at the corners. The protection holds up against just a 3-4 man rush, and they do a good job up front, which gives the quarterback time to deliver a perfect strike to Sweeting.
15th catch of the season by Sweeting, who's been in the doghouse here and gone a couple of weeks without a catch, was suspended for their 3-point loss at Louisiana Lafayette. 1st and 10 from the 24. Crossing pattern and a catch inside the 20 at the 17, and that's Donovan Harden again. Second catch of the ball game for Harden, who came in with the team leading 34.
He's from California, Rancho Cucamonga High School. I remember him. They're very, very strong hands on that catch.
Started his college career at Illinois State, where he played with current Georgia State quarterback coach Luke Huard. Pass complete to Donovan Harden again, his 3rd catch on this series, and he's picked up the first down at the 12.
I'll tell you what, Georgia State's doing a very good job here. They get the block on the perimeter. They are playing against a lot of man-to-man coverage on the edge. They get a block on the perimeter, make one guy miss a little bit to gain the first down. Very smart offensive attack early. Quick passing game, a little bit of run, but a very quick passing game going after Georgia Southern right off the bat.
1st and 10 from the 12. Arbuckle protection goes for the end zone, unable to connect with Harden. Again, his intended target, as Harden has really developed into the go-to guy, the go-to wide receiver in this passing attack.
Yes, he has. Well, he's got outstanding quickness. Watching him practice yesterday, this young man has outstanding quickness and good top-end speed. Sweeting, on the other hand, has the great top-end speed, but like you said, has been in the doghouse a little bit. Quarterback got hit there on that last play, and they've got to make sure in the offensive line, if they're going to hold up on the deeper corner routes or routes of that nature that take a little bit more time to develop, they're going to have to hold up because the receiver was open on that. You give him time, that's a completion.
There was also a holding penalty on Georgia State on that play, so they'll take the penalty and back him up 10 yards to the 22.
And they still hit the quarterback.
Georgia State has had to juggle on that offensive line. More details on that in a moment. Ball tipped at the line of scrimmage. And it's going to be second down.
Well, their best lineman, Michael Ivory, at 6'4", 340 pounds, got injured early in the year. He was their best offensive lineman. There's been a lot of switches since. There's the knockdown. I think that was number 56.
No, it was Jamal Johnson, number 51, the
51.
defensive tackle, who's
Switch
playing
up.
in place of Jonathan Battle and Justice Ajike, both of them out with injuries today.
Number 77 on the offense.
So A.J. Kaplan, the left tackle, who took over from Michael Ivory at that position. You mentioned Ivory out for the season with his ankle injury, so Kaplan was with the call for the penalty. Miscommunication on the route. Robert Davis broke to the outside. Arbuckle through to the end zone, and now it's going to be third down.
Yeah, they worked on practice. They worked on this during practice all week. When you're covered man-to-man like that, they were going to go with the go route. Obviously, I think it's the wide receiver messed that one up, because the way they worked on it in practice, if they got on the line man-to-man, he was going to take it deep.
Third down. Arbuckle has missed his last 3 passes after completing his first 5. Out pattern off the hands of Harden. Now it's going to be fourth down. And what looked like a touchdown situation, coach, has now turned into a 40-something yard field goal attempt.
Well, here's part of Georgia State's problem. They've been close in a lot of games, but they just don't know how to finish. They got to finish the drive. In that situation there, Eagles beat Eagles. They beat themselves down there. Penalties took them out of a great drive to start the game.
44-yard kick here by Will Lutz. He's the all-time field goal kicker in Georgia State history, and 5 for 5 this season, including a career-long 48 at Louisiana Lafayette. Kick on its way, and Georgia State has the early lead on the 44-yard kick by Will Lutz, his 6th of the season. Opening drive goes to the Panthers as they get 3. Georgia State with the early 3-0 lead on first place Georgia Southern. Matt Stewart and Coach Pat Hill. And Coach, they got a 39-yard pass completion to Avery Sweeting that set them up. Looked like they were going to get a touchdown on the series. They had to settle for 3.
Well, it started out with the protection. Protection was good, perfectly thrown ball. But once again, just like you said here, it was Eagles, Georgia State Eagles, beating Eagles, giving up a illegal procedure, okay, and a holding penalty, taking them out of a great early touchdown drive. And that's part of the problem with learning how to win. You got to have confidence, you got to have belief, but number one, you got to be able to execute at all times.
They got down there close. As you mentioned, the holding, the illegal procedure, and 3 straight incompletions as the Georgia Southern defense buckled up and held the Panthers to 3 points. And now we'll see the Eagles on offense for the first time. Derek Keaton standing deep for the Eagles. And Lutz will kick off. Keaton will take it 3 yards deep and will bring it out. And Keaton up to the 21-yard line and no further. That's where the Eagles will go on offense for the first time. Antrell Allen making that tackle along with Dontavis Crockett. So our first chance to see the Eagles and their spread option offense led by their quarterback Kevin Ellison. Sophomore out of Habersham Central Georgia High School, has completed 55% of his passes for 98 yards per game. That only tells half the story. He's rushed for 669 and 96 yards per game, which is 3rd highest in the Sun Belt Conference. Handoff goes to Breida.
Well, the first play isn't even an option. It's just straight ahead power football. Pulling guard, lead back. You'll see it right here. They're pulling the right guard here, lead back number 33. 74 should have been up on number 6. He gets hung up inside, but Breida has got the quickness to bounce outside without his guard.
8-yard pickup for Breida, who's averaging 119 a game, which is number 1 in the conference. What a story Matt Breida has been, averaging just under 9 yards per carry, 8 rushing touchdowns, 135 yards of all-purpose offense per game. And there's the option right there. Breida the first down after the pitch by Ellison. And Breida has the first down up close to the 40-yard line.
Speed option. It's a 2-man option. Quarterback in the pitch. There he comes down the line of scrimmage. Quarterback player's there, but you can see the pitch player is hung up in the blocking scheme. Safety's trying to make a run in the alley, gets blocked, can't get around it, and that's how they get the ball off.
1st and 10 from the 41. Eagles average 372 per game on the ground. Panthers give up 241 per game on the ground. Ramsby now in there in the running option with Zach Walker as the pitch. Ellis field strike.
Yeah, Zach Walker's got 7 carries this year for 29 yards. They don't pitch it very often to Zach, but he's the end man on the option this time. Once again, the quarterback player there gets blocked. So they're doing a lot of load blocking on the perimeter and alley blocking on the runners, coming from the inside out and doing a really good job with it so far. There's going to have to be some adjustments made here by Georgia State. They got to get off the perimeter blocks.
Ellison, the sophomore quarterback, 7 rushing touchdowns, averaging 194 yards per game in total offense. And there goes Ramsby. He's the number 2 in the 1-2 punch in the backfield. L.A. Ramsby, who was an option quarterback himself in Cincinnati, with the big 18-yard gain.
Same play again. It's just power football. Doing a very good job of sealing off the inside. Now this is a zone blocking option team, but it's a down blocking power team also. They got both schemes and they run them both very well. The strength of this team is the offensive line.
You saw Ramsby on the sideline. He said I was that close to breaking it all the way. First pass for Ellison, complete to B.J. Johnson. Johnson trying to get a block out there by Zach Walker. Didn't get it. Picks up a couple of yards on the play.
Nice job by the corner, Bryce Dukes of Georgia State. He's the one that held it up to start with, and they rallied their safety to the ball. Good job on the perimeter by Georgia State that time.
2-yard gain on the play. That was the 18th catch of the season for B.J. Johnson. He's tops on the team, averaging 16 yards per catch and 3 touchdowns. Down to the 21-yard line.
Once again, very efficient blocking. You'll see there's blocking on the perimeter on the pitch player. You'll see it right there, number 26, picking up the pitch player, allowing him once again for another first down, about an 8-9 yard gain.
Devin Scott on the carry. Scott gets it again on the pitch, and Scott gets to the corner and run out of bounds inside the 10-yard line. Back-to-back carries by Devin Scott, and the Eagles have it 1st and goal to go.
You know, when we used to play against option teams, it takes about a series to get used to the speed. Watching practice Friday, they can't simulate the speed of the Georgia Southern offense, and right now it's showing, especially in the option game. The pitch part of the option game has been very hard for Georgia State because the speed of the game, they haven't seen it like this yet. Hopefully they'll adapt to the speed of the game. They're going to have to.
Breida.
Good job on the dive.
Shawanye Lawrence among the Georgia State Panthers there to stonewall him at the line of scrimmage. Pick up of just a couple of yards right there. But you talked about that offensive line for the Georgia Southern Eagles. It's 4 seniors across that front with Fry, St. Amour, Daves, and Kluge. Foreman, the junior left guard, the only guy who's not a senior on that offensive line, and they play like it.
Yeah, when you look at their depth, though, they got a tackle backs up both tackles and a guard backs up both guards. They don't have much depth in that group. There's the pitch again. Once again, it's number 9, Zach Walker, blocking on the perimeter. If we get that on a replay, that's a great job by Zach Walker, wide receiver, making the block on the perimeter on the pitch player once again.
7-yard touchdown run for Matt Breida, his 9th rushing touchdown, tops in the conference, and the Eagles on top 6-3.
There's Zach Walker on the block on the perimeter. The quarterback does a good job. They have the quarterback player taken care of. He pitches the ball, but once again, Zach Walker makes the block to spring that for a touchdown.
Alex Hanks, 27 of 31 on his PATs, had some trouble in their last game against Idaho, but he's perfect right there. And Georgia Southern on top 7-3. So the Panthers get 3 on their first possession. The Eagles get 7. Halfway through the first quarter, Georgia Southern on top. Georgia Southern playing here at the Georgia Dome for just the 2nd time in school history. Only other time they played here against Middle Tennessee back in the 1990s. And out to a 7-3 lead, capping an 8-play, 79-yard drive on the 7-yard touchdown run by Matt Breida.
Now here in this series, it's going to be very important. Earlier on the first series, when I was saying Eagles were beating Eagles, I meant Panthers. I'm pretty hung up on the Eagles. Before the game, we showed a shot of that eagle. I was down there, and they put that eagle right on my shoulder. what an outstanding experience that was. But the Panthers on this series, they have got to take care of business. They proved to themselves on the first drive they can move the ball against this Georgia Southern defense. And if they hold up in protection, they can win the man-on-man. But they had a broken assignment in a pass between the quarterback and the wide receiver. They had a holding penalty. They had an illegal procedure penalty. It was the Panthers beating the Panthers on that drive. They can move the ball against the Eagles, and they got to have confidence. This is a big drive for them.
Younghoe Koo with the kickoff. He's 46% touchback for the season. Avery Sweeting on the return. And Sweeting up to the 25-yard line, and that's where the Panthers will begin their second possession. Raekwon Sam making the tackle for the Eagles on the special teams. 22-yard return. And Coach, will see if the Panthers can get out of their own way. They were their own worst enemy, as you just articulated a few moments ago, on their first possession.
Well, they did for the first 60 yards, but it was the 20 yards going backwards that really hurt them.
Caffey caught in the backfield. Ball is out. Picked up by Glover. Glover's got a free pass to the end zone. Touchdown.
That was you can see on the replay, it's the backside end on the counter that comes down from behind and strips the ball. Great play by the weak side defensive end of Georgia State. Glover pounces on the ball, takes it in. From the back of your screen, here it comes.
That was Deshaunte Gallen who made the tackle and separated Marcus Caffey from the ball, gave a Christmas present to Antonio Glover, who scores on the scoop and score, and it's 13-3.
Yeah, he's their backup Will Backer. Their two inside Will Backers are tackling machines between Antoine Williams and Deshaun Gallen. That's a great run through on the backside.
Play is under review. They want to see if Caffey was down when he fumbled.
There's the run through right there.
I think they might have an argument that Caffey was down. It's hard to tell whether he had lost possession of the ball on the way down. On that replay, it looked like the ball came out after his backside was on the turf.
Might have been his elbow also down.
So far, both replays have been inconclusive. Remember, the call on the field is fumble and touchdown, so you've got to have conclusive evidence on the replay to overturn that call on the field.
Yes. I'll tell you what, if they don't overturn this play, I'll tell you what Trent Miles is going to have to do. He's going to have to get that team together and say, okay, don't look at the scoreboard. Let's start from scratch. Let's keep it 0-0 and let's start all over again. You can't get hung up on these type of plays when you're a young program like Georgia State. These kind of plays can unravel a young team. They've got to band together and start this thing over again if that thing isn't overturned.
Tony Backert is our referee on the headset. David Almond is the replay official up in the booth. Now, you can't make the assumption. It looks on the replay, you say, oh, well, he's down because the ball pops out after he's down, but you have to have video evidence to overturn the call on the field. So it's got to be conclusive. It's got to be obvious on the video replay.
Yeah, well, this is a huge play in this football game because Georgia State puts themselves in a very deep hole at 14-3. If they get the ball back here, they got a chance to get this thing winding again.
I think that replay we just showed there, the third replay we showed, gives you video evidence to overturn the call. Looks like his elbow hit the ground, and that's when the ball popped out.
Sure does, doesn't it?
Now, that's the fourth replay we've seen. The third one, I thought, gave the officials the evidence they need to overturn it. And they are going to overturn it.
23.5-yard line, second down. Please reset the game clock to 7:29.
Well, what a huge break for Georgia State, but they got the call right, I think.
They did get the call right, yes. There were a lot of years. I coached for 40 years. There was a lot of years we didn't have any of that kind of stuff.
Yep.
We just had to go with what was called.
Yep.
You know, most of the time, though, these officials do get it right. It's amazing that the game happens so fast. And I'd say most of the time the officials have it right before it goes to replay. That time, the replay helped.
Second down and long now. Arbuckle stands in there, throws behind Linquez Blair, incomplete. It's third down. So, Coach, has it been pressure from the Georgia Southern defense that has turned up the heat on Arbuckle. He was 5 for 5 to start. He's been off the mark since.
Well, right there, for example, now they were playing behind the chains, but he had the swing wide open to his back. If he just hits the swing, it's probably a 5 to 8 yard gain. And if he makes a guy miss, maybe more. So he's trying to do a little bit too much. It's 7-3, just settle down.
He's missed on his last 5 attempts. 3rd down and long here. Arbuckle in trouble, gets rid of it through the hands of Harden. Should have had it. Actually, I think that was Joel Ruiz, number 8, not number 9, the intended target there. There is a flag down on the field at the 23. Arbuckle indicating it's going against the Eagles.
Personal foul. Face mask. Number 51 on the defense. 15 yards from the previous spot. First down.
That's Jamal Johnson starting at defensive tackle today, again in place of the injured Battle and Ajike, who was called for the infraction.
That time it's the Georgia Southern Eagles making the mistake, giving Georgia State more life here. They had him shut down right here. Now Georgia State gets another set on downs. I believe what they have to do is get back to the short throws, get yourself in 2nd and short, 3rd and medium type situations, move the ball methodically, give your offensive line a chance to hold up in passing situations. Don't put them in long yardage situations.
Flag comes out, plenty of time on the play clock.
Looks like it's a left tackle again.
Number 50 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Remains first down.
It's going to be the center.
This time it's the center, the 5th-year senior, Tim Wynn, out of Mays High School right here in Atlanta.
That's their top offensive lineman. He probably moved or hitched the ball just a little bit. Can't be making that as a 5th-year senior. Snap call, mental error.
Georgia State's been playing 10-plus now for a bunch of plays here in the first quarter. 10-plus yards to go. Caffey trying to turn the corner and barely got to the edge and picked up about 3 or 4 yards on the play. Marcus Caffey, as we mentioned, 96 yards rushing on the season on 30 attempts.
Caffey shows some speed here because I tell you, Georgia Southern, they had that thing strung out pretty well, and Caffey still turned the corner for 3 yards. That could have been a no-gainer. Good run by Marcus Caffey.
2nd down and 8, ball at the 41.
He's audibilizing at the line of scrimmage. I think he feels number 7 down on the weak side now.
Caffey again on the carry, no running room. It's going to be very hard to run against this Georgia Southern defense. Edwin Jackson, the Mike linebacker, leading tackler on the team with his 2nd tackle of the ballgame.
Little game of cat and mouse here. They audibilized thinking that they were going to get some pressure from the right-hand side, number 7 down, so they felt they'd run it away from him, but at the last minute they revolved out of it and came back to a balanced front.
Edwin Jackson, one of the 40-plus Georgia Southern Eagles who played their high school ball here in the metro Atlanta area, played at Westlake High School, same high school that produced one Cam Newton. Blitz coming. They pick it up. Arbuckle going deep. Harden is covered. And it's going to be a punting situation for Georgia State. So Arbuckle and the Georgia State Panthers offense has to come off the field. But they're fortunate, Coach, not to be down 14-3 right now.
Absolutely, and that's very good coverage by Deion Stanley there on the slot. Coach Fritz from Georgia Southern really loves the way number 29 there, nickelback, plays for him. And he's got a big responsibility tonight, being involved in a lot of man coverage like he was there, but did a great job.
Matt Hubbard to kick. Punts it away from Trey Butler. Butler runs away from it. And it will bounce dead at the 18-yard line. And that's where the Georgia Southern Eagles will begin their 2nd possession following a 42-yard kick by Matt Hubbard with 5:42 to play in the quarter. Eagles on top, 7-3. Georgia Southern drove 79 yards on their opening possession. They lead Georgia State 7-3, and now the Eagles get the ball for the 2nd time. Matt Stewart and Coach Pat Hill. And, Coach, what they've really done well at Georgia Southern is block on the perimeter with their wide receivers.
Yeah, they have, because they did a really good job of stopping the dive in the quarterback, the first 2 parts of the triple option. But the pitch was there for the big yardage, and that's made possible by the blocking of Zach Walker, B.J. Johnson, Contrilla Showers. The other thing that they've done really well is they've run the basic power football play with down blocking schemes twice for big gains. So the power, the pitch on the option is what has to be stopped in this drive.
All three of those wide receivers that you mentioned, Walker, Johnson, and Showers, are split to the top of your screen. Keeper, Ellison. First down carry for Ellison as he sprints across the 30-yard line. Tackle made by Joseph Peterson, all-time leading tackler in this Georgia State program, but way downfield as they move the sticks on the 15-yard gain.
That's why I'm up here in the box. As soon as I said they did a good job on the dive of the quarterback rattles off about 13.
Ellison is the number 3 rusher in the Sun Belt Conference, replaced Jarrett Jet McKinnon, who was a third-round pick by the Vikings and has replaced the beleaguered Adrian Peterson in the Minnesota Vikings backfield. Ellison off the hands of B.J. Johnson. Looked like he stumbled in his route. He was open, but he stumbled on the way to getting to that ball.
Well, that ball was thrown a little bit behind him. I mean, I don't think the accuracy of Ellison is his strength. It's the ability to throw the ball when everybody's playing run responsibilities. You'll see this ball is not really accurately thrown, and it's got a little wobble to it. But I'll tell you what, he does it with his legs. This is a running football team.
Started 6 games a year ago as a freshman, including their monumental 26-20 victory at Florida. Ramsby on the carry. This time he gets stuck hard by the linebacker, Trey Payne. Second tackle of the ball game for Payne. Not much running room for Ramsby right there.
Trey Payne's a good-looking player. I watched him out there at practice yesterday. He's just a freshman, and the way his body looks right now, I think he'll be a defensive lineman before he's done here at Georgia State. He's going to be an outstanding player for him, though. It's a big down for him. Third down. Let's see what we got.
We'll see if the Eagles can move the sticks or the Panthers can get them off the field. Devin Scott in there at running back. They throw to Scott. And Scott close to the first down marker at the 43.
It's going to be right on it. Looks like they gave it to him with the spot. Once again, watch the perimeter block out here that springs him. Right there was number 80. Kentrell Showers is the one responsible for springing that block.
So they're going to bring the chains across and measure this. That's the first catch by Scott this season. Scott getting a lot of work here in the first quarter. Only 18 carries in their first 7 games this season.
Once again, those wide receivers, I can't say enough. Watching them on film, they've got a couple receivers here that have big size and bodies. I don't know how good they are at their receiving skills because they don't throw it enough. But I'll tell you what, they are unselfish blockers in this option football.
And Scott does pick up the first down, so they move the sticks in a fresh set of downs. And that's one of the things that Willie Fritz told us, Coach, is that he knew they were good blockers when he got here because of the triple option offense. What he didn't know is how good they were at route running, and they've proven to be good at that too.
Yeah, the one route that we saw earlier in the game, the ball was just thrown poorly and behind the receiver.
Georgia Southern threw the ball a little bit more in their non-conference schedule, especially against ACC opponents, NC State and Georgia Tech. They've run it a lot more in the Sun Belt because they've been able to win just running the ball.
Yeah, that offensive line's pretty dominant. Good-looking group.
That's Ward, the tight end, flip-flopping one side to the other. Ellison under pressure, flushed him out. Man, he's got a lot of green in front of him. That's a first down and more for Ellison down to the 30-yard line. No containment over there on that far side, and Ellison just ate it up.
Well, the reason we don't see containment, you're going to see number 23, Derek Keaton, another receiver. Watch him on the perimeter once this run gets started. You're going to see a blocker up here, and there's a reason. He was stuck to this guy, number 27, Bruce Dukes, for about 10 seconds, it seemed like, watching it from here.
51 yards rushing for Ellison already in this game. Pitch to B.J. Johnson coming around from the other end. Got a block, and B.J. Johnson to the 20-yard line. And you talked about Zach Walker. He just threw a big block in the backfield to spring Johnson.
They're awful good. And I'll tell you, watch number 3 here, Terrius Batiste. He tries to come underneath the arc block on the perimeter and just misses the play. He cannot come underneath the block. He's got to go across the face of the blocker to make that play.
B.J. Johnson with the run. That was some kind of block by Zach Walker, and it's 2nd down and 1 at the 21.
It's fun to watch the perimeter. The perimeter is where the game is being won right now by Georgia Southern.
Pitch. Zach Walker inside the 10. Got to the ground by Nate Simon, but a 1st and goal coming up for the Eagles after the 12-yard run. And as we had anticipated, the Eagles are simply gashing the Panthers defense.
Well, when you say they're winning the game on the perimeter with their wide receivers, very rarely are you talking about winning the game blocking with their wide receivers. Most teams are winning the game on the perimeter by throwing to them. These guys are winning it by blocking on the perimeter, and they love it. Quarterback power, touchdown.
Wow. Untouched until he got to the goal line. Ellison sprints in from 9 yards out, and it's now 13-3.
Well-conceived play. Their running back takes it out of the backfield like going to empty, which draws the linebacker. There is nobody home on the power. Well-conceived play. Watch right here as the running back takes it out of the backfield. There is nobody inside. Everybody's over pursuing to the outside. They run the power up underneath with the offside guard, pulling up into the hole. Quarterback walks it in.
8th rushing touchdown of the season for Kevin Ellison. Hanks on for the PAT. Nails it.
You know, Coach Fritz was talking about running the football with zone schemes. They've had big plays with down blocking schemes, and these linemen in the Monken offense before were really a big down blocking football team, and there's a lot of great carryover. This is a well-coached offensive line with a lot of veterans, like you said earlier, with 4 seniors. The big difference between these two teams, one of the big differences is the offensive line.
Yeah, and Willie Fritz was up front with us about it. He said, look, the biggest success on our team has been the offensive line and their ability to adapt to the new blocking scheme. Not necessarily an easy thing to do when you've had guys in the program blocking one way for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, watch it here. They're just crushed. There is nobody. Look at the daylight. I might have been able to run behind that. Well, maybe not. But there was a big enough hole there that you and I had a chance to at least get it back to the line of scrimmage.
My gosh, Coach, Ellison and Breida combined have 17 rushing touchdowns on the season.
Yeah.
Here in game number 8.
I love running the football. I think you can control a football game by running the football, and they're definitely controlling this game right now.
161-68 the total yards, 13 minutes into this game. Ellison has 60 yards. That was an 8-play, 82-yard drive. So, Coach, they now have 79 and 82-yard touchdown drives on their first 2 possessions.
Well, they had a chance on the 3rd down stop. Here it is. Little reverse, huh?
No,
Fake
Glenn
reverse.
Smith keeps it. Glenn Smith keeps it.
Flags.
But a flag's going to bring this thing back. Smith going to take it all the way. 98 yards, but 2 flags on the field back at the 43 and 34.
Well, you got to execute. Once again, it's not anything done by Georgia Southern there. It's all Georgia State. The Panthers, looks like it's probably going to be brought back on a hold, but a well-executed fake reverse.
Glenn Smith took it at the 2, faked the reverse to Sweeting, and then had nothing but an open lane, 98 yards to the end zone. But it looks like Georgia State has pulled out the pistol and shot themselves in the foot again.
During a return, holding on the return team, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, will be first down.
Now, if you look at the side of the foul, it's on the right hash 40-yard line. The return went right through that area, so it must have been close to that area right there.
Might have been a hold right there at the bottom of your screen, or maybe right there. There were 2 flags thrown, so there might have been 2 holding calls.
I didn't see any in that picture.
So Trent Miles getting the explanation. But, Coach, you can make the argument that penalties have cost the Panthers 2 touchdowns in this game. When they got down close the first time on their opening possession, a holding call, and then a false start made them settle for a field goal. And now penalties wipe out a touchdown on the 98-yard kickoff return.
Yeah, and one thing that has to happen right here is now is Georgia State has to settle down. They got to put a drive together right here. I sure didn't see any holdings on that replay, though.
So the Panthers will have the ball at the 30-yard line. That's a 7-point and 70-yard penalty right there, in essence. In the round, and nothing doing. Ball pops out afterwards. Sweeting got swallowed up by Deshante Gallen.
Yeah, Matt Dobson's there also. Outstanding gap cancellation right there. One. Look at how he keeps his outside arm free. The filler from the inside. That's great gap cancellation defense. And Gallen made the play, but Dobson's the one that set that thing up.
Coach, you hit it earlier. They've got three really good linebackers in Williams, Jackson, and Gallen.
Yeah, they do. Good block on the perimeter there, but
Harden not going to be able to get by Deion Stanley, who rushes him out of bounds. Stanley and Dobson. You mentioned Dobson a few moments ago was the guy that made the play. Stanley's another guy. Willie Fritz tells us that Dobson and Stanley playing as well or better than anybody on that Eagles defense right now.
Well, Dobson's sort of like the captain of the secondary. He gets everybody lined up, and he says Deion Stanley's one heck of an athlete. Very instinctive, but a great athlete.
Third down and long. Heavy rush coming. It is caught by Blair, and that's a first down at the 43. 17-yard pickup. Breaks a little bit of a drought for Arbuckle, who'd gone through a struggle there, completing passes for a while.
Boy, the twist game, number 56, Bernard Dawson. Look for that to come a little bit later. Came off that twist pretty well and hit that quarterback right in the chest.
28th catch of the season for Blair, who's down in that southeast portion part of the state where Georgia Southern is. He's out of Swainsboro, Georgia. Not Statesboro, but Swainsboro. First and 10, Caffey on the run, not going anywhere. Man, they are just killing that running game. No running room whatsoever. That's those linebackers, Antoine Williams and Edward Jackson, teeing up to put a licking on Marcus Caffey.
Yeah, Antoine Williams, outstanding player. But, you know, Georgia State has to show that they can run the ball. They have to. Otherwise, they're just going to tee off on them. Here it is right here, running through by the linebacker. Antoine Williams, outstanding play. This is a very good football team, Georgia Southern. Well coached on defense.
Panthers are 10th out of the 11-team Sun Belt, averaging just 114 per game on the ground. And that is the end of the first quarter. 15 minutes in the books at the Georgia Dome. First ever meeting between Georgia Southern and Georgia State. Eagles on top, 14-3. Start of the second quarter at the Georgia Dome. ESPN Sun Belt football. Georgia Southern on top of Georgia State, 14-3. And Coach Pat Hill, just tremendous team speed by the Eagles on defense, playing great gap defense.
Yeah, when we say gap cancellation, you see in that play that all the inside gaps were shut off, meaning the A gap, center guard gap, B gap, guard tackle gap, C gap, tackle tight end gap, and they just shut everything down and keep forcing the play to the outside, and then the Georgia Southern speed takes over and shuts the play down for a 2-3 yard loss. And now we're sitting behind the chains again at 2nd and 14, and the pressure's on that young rotation offensive line of Georgia State.
Yeah, it seems like the Panthers have been behind the chains the entire game so far. Arbuckle, heavy pressure, had to get rid of it in a hurry. Joel Ruiz, the intended target. And now it's third down and long behind the chains.
Well, when you can pin your ears back at the defensive ends and come up the field and run that hard TT twist inside, pushing the pocket in the middle, it's all advantage Georgia Southern. And once again, it's all advantage Georgia Southern again, because we're sitting at third down and 14. This is not the down and distance you want to be in. Looks like they're playing cover 4. That means 2. No, they're rolling it down over here. Got man-to-man on the perimeter.
Arbuckle given time this time, and Robert Davis goes up and makes the catch.
Now,
what a catch by Robert Davis, using his athleticism to beat one-on-one coverage and get the completion.
They played one-on-one on the perimeter out of a 4 shell, meaning 2 high safeties. Good protection by the offensive line. And watch Robert Davis go up the ladder and make the play. They believe going into this game they can win one-on-one.
They did right there for 33 yards and a first down at the 28. Another good look at that catch right there by Robert Davis. And he's a good story, too. Tell that in a moment. We'll have penalty flags first.
That might be against Georgia Southern because the offensive lineman was reacting to the movement of the defensive tackle. I don't know if they're going to get the... Well, they didn't give it to him.
Instead, they'll call that on Davis Moore, the redshirt freshman guard. He's one of those guys subbing in because of the loss of Akil Hawkins, who injured his knee in practice this week. Panthers really playing with 3 offensive linemen that they did not intend to be in the positions that they're playing today.
Yeah, as a coach, we've all been in that position. It's just the next man's got to pick up the flag and go.
Quick toss to Davis. Nice move by Davis again, and Dobson went one way and then recovers and makes the tackle, but an extra couple of yards by Robert Davis, again showing his athleticism out on the perimeter.
See, there's a play action pass right there. Quick play action. I think that's a sight pass.
2nd down and 5.
That's why the run game is important. You got to establish some kind of run game.
Arbuckle running a fade. Nice catch by Harden over the shoulders inside the 5.
They're winning the one-on-ones, and if they can protect, Georgia State can stay in this football game. That is a well-thrown football and a very good pattern, holding the line and then giving the quarterback an area to throw to. Great adjustment to the ball by Donovan Harden.
Harden and Davis putting on a show at wide receiver here for the Panthers on this drive. Caffey going nowhere. Dobson was there, and so was Jamal Johnson. Man, Panthers can't run the ball in close quarters or to the outside right now. That offensive line just can't handle Georgia Southern up front.
They are winning the one-on-ones on the perimeter in the passing game, and if the pass protection can hold up, they might be able to go toe-to-toe in a scoring contest here. Blitz is on. They got one-on-one on the perimeter. They're going to take the outside. Good
nice
job.
Catch
Touchdown
by Harden for the touchdown. Some really good catch and throw by the Panthers on that drive. Robert Davis and Donovan Harden teaming up with Nick Arbuckle to get the Panthers their first touchdown of the day.
Now that takes a lot of practice, that throw right there. This is perfectly timed. The ball's out now. He hadn't even come out of his break. Great timing route between the quarterback, Arbuckle, and the wide receiver, Harden. Both California kids. Arbuckle being from Westlake High School, where he played tight end, and Harden coming out of Rancho Cucamonga.
Lutz with the PAT, and the Panthers have cut it to 4. Nick Arbuckle with his 13th touchdown pass, and Harden with his 4th catch.
California connection.
First ever meeting between Georgia Southern and Georgia State on the football field. Eagles with a 14-10 lead 2 minutes into this second quarter. And Trent Miles said, you know, this is going to be a big rivalry, but we've got to play well to make it a rivalry. And so far, they've done okay.
Yeah, they have. And you know, I watched them at practice Friday, and they practice a little different on Friday. They follow the Chip Kelly school of thought. They go full speed on Friday, but not full speed collisions. And they were working on their one-on-one routes a lot because they really felt that they could win the one-on-ones against the Georgia State corners and the inside slot player. So far, Dobson's held up in the slot, and so is Deion Stanley. But on the corners, number 5, Jones, and number 30, Cooper, they haven't held up against the Georgia State receivers. You know, big Robert Davis, number 19, and Donovan Harden, number 9, have had big plays on the perimeter in one-on-one situations, which is keeping Georgia State in striking distance.
Lutz, 42% touchback on his kickoffs this season, lets it fly. Monte Crockett, 3 yards deep, will bring it out. And Crockett, look at him go, got the kicker to beat, makes him fall down, and then he falls down himself. Crockett could have gone the distance had he been able to keep his feet. How about that return by Monte Crockett? First, let's take a look back at Georgia State's scoring drive. And, Coach, you talked about it prior to the game, And the Panthers' ability to win one-on-one coverage on the outside paid off on that drive.
Well, Robert Davis, with his height and his jumping ability, wins that one. Right here, we get another great move by the big man. I tell you, that's going to be a big-time receiver, number 19, Robert Davis. And then this timing route with Donovan Harden. Outstanding timing, outstanding trust in one another. The quarterback trusting the receiver to be there when the ball comes out of his hands.
Fabian Upshaw now in the game at quarterback, and he'll keep it. Upshaw, probably the fastest guy on this team with legit 4.3 40 speed, runs to the sideline and picks up the first down. So how about that, Coach? You get the backup quarterback in. You don't get a breather. In fact, he's out even faster than the starter, Kevin Ellison, who's fast enough.
He's an outstanding player. Rushing yards in this game right now. Georgia Southern 150 plus that gain. Georgia State 1. But the passing game is just the opposite.
1st and 10 for the Eagles. They're quickly in Georgia State territory after the nice return by Crockett. Then the 15-yard pickup by Upshaw. Play gets blown dead.
Trying to run the power play. Georgia State needs some kind of stop here.
5-yard penalty, remains first down.
That's the left guard, Darian Foreman. As Coach just mentioned a few moments ago, it's 150, now 165 to 1 in favor of Georgia Southern. And Trent Miles said they can't be one-dimensional and win this ball game. They have been one-dimensional thus far, but down only 4.
This is a huge down here. It doesn't seem like much, but at 1st and 15, if they can make some kind of a stop and keep it 2nd and long, they got a real good advantage.
Breida.
Man.
Every time he touches the ball, it's gashing yardage. Dartez Jacobs, the safety, making that tackle, but Breida gets a lot of that back after the penalty on 1st down.
You know, the interesting thing about those two backs, Breida and Ramsby, they didn't even play last year. These are brand new players. Breida's the real deal. He's a big speed and burst guy, but he didn't even have spring ball. But Coach said on the first day of practice he knew this guy was going to be special.
Yeah, Breida missed spring ball with a shoulder injury. And that's Ramsby right there. And Ramsby's the power back at 5'11", 210. As I mentioned earlier, he was an option quarterback coming out of Colerain High School in Cincinnati, was the Cincinnati Enquirer Player of the Year in that city. All Ohio honors as a quarterback in high school. And came to Georgia Southern as a quarterback, but moved to running back when he looked ahead of him and saw that Ellison and Upshaw firmly entrenched on the depth chart. Ramsby, just a redshirt freshman, rushed for 1,510 yards and 18 touchdowns his high school senior season in Cincinnati, and threw for 1,645 and 15 touchdowns. Pitch to Zach Walker. Walker spin move inside the 10, and he dives into the end zone. What a play by Zach Walker. He goes 19 for 6, and it's 20 to 10.
What a football play. I tell you what, they are fun to watch. They are fun to watch. You know, people say the run game isn't exciting. You can't tell me that watching these guys run the football.
Not watching the right run game if you don't think it's exciting. This is like a circus act.
Where is the pitch player? We got to find the pitch player. Somebody's got to find the pitch player in the stadium, because the pitch player is nowhere to be found. Once again, give credit to those wide receivers. They are somebody's blocking them. It's got to be those wide receivers on the perimeter.
Zach Walker, first touchdown of the season. And the kick is no good. That's the 5th miss by Hanks. Might have been tipped on the play. A 20-10 lead for Georgia Southern.
Triple option. They go to number 3 phase of the option. Dive. Quarterback. Pitch. I think number 1 had it.
4.5 minutes into the second quarter. Georgia Southern, 3 possessions, 3 touchdowns, leads Georgia State 20-10, not 21-10. Because Shawanye Lawrence, number 85, gets his hand on this kick by Alex Hanks. And deflected it just enough to miss the PAT. And So a 10-point lead for the Eagles instead of 11.
I tell you what, the trajectory of that ball was not very good, though.
Yeah,
that
it looked like
very, very
he
low
might
pitch.
have missed it even if it hadn't been tipped.
Yeah, it didn't look like it was on the flight line, that's for sure.
So Georgia Southern comes back out to receive the kick here. They'll go on offense after their best possession of the game on their previous series where they scored the touchdown going 70 yards. You see the Eagles go 6 plays, 54 yards after the nice return by Monte Crockett. And Zach Walker takes it in for his first score of the season.
You know, when you look at this Georgia State team, even though their record is 1-6, 10-point loss to Air Force, 1-score game to New Mexico State, up 14-0 against Washington at the half. Loses to University of Louisiana Lafayette, who's an outstanding football team, 34-31, and last week against South Alabama, 30-27. This is a team that's competed hard all year, and I think we'll see a lot about the character of this team as they continue to drive here in the second half. This is a big drive once again for them because they got to keep matching scores.
Sweeting will not return, so the Panthers will start at the 25-yard line. You're right, Coach. 3 of their 4 conference losses have been by 3 points. New Mexico State was the other, and in each one of those situations, against New Mexico State, against the Ragin' Cajuns, and last week against the Jaguars, they had the lead in the fourth quarter, but still lost the game.
It's part of being a young program with a lot of young players, learning how to win. Georgia Southern, when Coach Fritz came in, they knew how to win. Now, he's going to take them to another level. I believe that. But those kids already knew how to win.
Nick Arbuckle, 11 of 17 passing for 142 so far in this game. Handoff to Caffey. Man, they cannot run against this Georgia Southern defense. That was Lenny Richardson who puts a hurting on him.
Well, if you're going to run the zone read, the defensive end's going to close it that hard. Quarterback's got to keep it.
I think that's been one of the big surprises, Coach, about Georgia Southern. Everybody knew they could run the ball, but it's their defense that's really been impressive, too.
But just looking at that play on TV, that read right there is quarterback keep it. You can't give the dive. You got to keep the ball when the end closes that hard.
Second down behind the sticks again, 11 to go. Arbuckle right across the middle. That's complete to Blair and a first down. That's the second time they've gone that route to Blair with the same result, a first down, 17 yards on that play.
Let's give the offensive line some credit here. This twist starts to open up a little bit late on them, but still enough time for Arbuckle to stand in there and throw the ball. The offensive line, if they can keep pass blocking against the 4-man rush, Georgia State's going to be in this football game.
First and 10 at the 41. You see it's exactly opposite. The rush yards and the pass yards, they're flipped in favor of the Georgia State Panthers. And there's a score for Hardin. 59 yards.
That's where Stanley doesn't hold up. Stanley gets beat in the slot by Hardin, man-to-man. They brought the blitz, and Hardin beats Stanley in the slot. You know, that's exactly what they have to do. The blitz comes, they get the one-on-one this time in the slot, and Deion Stanley can't hold up against Hardin's speed.
Arbuckle with his second touchdown pass of the game, both of them to Hardin on back-to-back possessions. And we got the makings of a shootout right here as Lutz puts it through, and it's 20-17.
Good job of protection. There's the win right there. Deion Stanley can't run with Hardin. If you get Hardin as the number 2 receiver matched up on Stanley, he better have some help over the top. He didn't have any help over the top, and they found it. That's well conceived, very good coaching on this part of Georgia State.
All right, Coach, we've got 2 storylines developing here in the second quarter. Number one, as we anticipated, Georgia State, like pretty much everybody else in the nation, having trouble stopping Georgia Southern running the ball. But also, as we anticipated, Eagles having some trouble, especially in one-on-one matchups out on the perimeter with the wide receivers, and they're getting beat in the pass game.
Well, and Georgia State's doing a really good job with their matchups. They're getting the matchups one-on-one, not only on the perimeter, but that's the first time they've won inside against the slot in a one-on-one matchup. And that's another one they're going to come back to. Now, if they keep winning those one-on-ones, you might see the run game start to open up, because now all of a sudden the safeties have to play deep. They have to play some too high coverages. They have to give some help to the outside receivers. And now the running game might open up. So the softening of the passing game sometimes softens up the front for the run game. That time, they live by the sword, they die by the sword. They brought pressure, one-on-one. Hey, Georgia State beat it again.
First ever meeting between Georgia Southern and Georgia State. If the rest of this game is like the first 2 quarters, we've got a great making of a tremendous rivalry here in the state of Georgia. Long way to go, however, and here's Keaton on the return.
Boy, same hash return.
Spins out of one tackle, got the kicker to beat. They got a block on the kicker, and finally brought down from behind.
Robert Dowling.
A 62-yard return. That's the second consecutive big return for the Eagles against the Panthers on the kick coverage.
That was Robert Dowling who ran him down, a sophomore. And I tell you what, they've run that hash return twice now for big ones. They have found something in the Georgia State kick coverage that they're attacking on that right hash. Both times been right hash, short side field, boundary return. Boundary return.
First it was Monte Crockett, and then it was Derek Keaton on that return, and Ellison back in there at quarterback. Keeps it, trying to get to the outside, and Joseph Peterson didn't let him turn the corner.
Well, the thing there is Terry Payne defeated the lead arc blocker that was blocking for the quarterback on that option there. It was an arc block on number 51. He was able to beat the block, force it to the perimeter, and Georgia State rallied to the ball. That was good defense. 2nd and 9.
209 yards rushing for this Georgia Southern team in the first 21 minutes of the game. Well on their way to beating their per game average of 372. 3 times this season, the Panthers have given up over 315 yards rushing. Ellison on the keeper again, and another first down carry for Ellison. He is fun to watch, as Coach Willie Fritz told us. He's a quarterback. He'll stick his foot in the ground, and he'll get vertical.
Well, right there, you're going to see here that the quarterback player, the guy that has the quarterback right there, can't get caught in between the quarterback and the pitch. Number 26 has got the quarterback, tackle the quarterback, make him pitch, and believe that the pitch player will be there to do his job. That time, there was a mental error there in the option responsibilities. One guy trying to do too much.
A team leading 77 yards rushing on 6 carries for Ellison. He keeps it again, doesn't pitch. Gets inside the 20-yard line and down to the 17. And, you know, Willie Fritz, coach, was telling us that pitching the ball is a lost art. Ball security is very important in every aspect of the game, whether you're a passing game or running the triple option. But he says he does a tremendous job of holding on to that ball when he needs to and pitching it when he needs to.
He does. And on that last play, Georgia State played the option perfectly, just missed the tackle. You know, so they're getting better. They're obviously making some sideline adjustments. There's at least blue hats around those white uniforms on the option now.
2nd down and
there's
5.
The pitch. Got to run to it. Got to run to it, and they do.
Devin Scott, nice tackle that time by the Panthers, and Joseph Peterson making his 4th stop of the ball game.
On the perimeter, you'll see the corner come off the block right here on the perimeter. The corner comes off the block there and makes a very good play on the option.
Actually, that was Taurus Batiste who made that tackle. Pardon me. 3, not 6.
I'm sorry, 3. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was Batiste. Batiste actually started his career with Coach Trent Miles at Indiana State.
They're starting to win a little bit on the perimeter against the blocks. You know, they're starting to get a feel for it. They're starting to win a little on the perimeter. 3rd down. Quarterback power again. Same one they scored on.
First down inside that 10-yard line.
That's the same play they scored on, but this time they went to the left.
Now Ellison takes a big-time shot at the end of this play. Ooh, man. Nate Simon, the safety, stepped in there and gave him a hard shoulder, but that's a first down carry for Ellison and the Eagles. They've scored a touchdown on every possession, and now they have it 1st and goal here on possession number 4.
Well, you know, at least they're at the 8-yard line. When they're a running team, they're going to have to get the full 8. It's better to be 1st and goal at the 8 if you're the defense when you're playing against a running team.
Ramsby.
Whoa,
man.
Whoa, that guy's got some legs.
He is a horse.
Woo. That guy's got some strong legs, man. He pounded it up in there.
Gave him the Hulk Hogan flex at the end of the play. 8-yard touchdown run for L.A. Ramsby. And it's 26-17.
Wow, watch this one. Boy, this is some leg drive here. Pads down, legs churning, boom. Boy, he ran right through Batiste.
And Ramsby is a horse.
It must have been a good-looking quarterback coming at you in high school. You know, I had a
scary-looking quarterback.
I had a young man. He was the starting running back, first-round draft choice of the San Diego Chargers, named Ryan Matthews. He was a high school quarterback.
27-17, Eagles reestablish their 10-point lead behind the power of L.A. Ramsby. Woo! Eagles with 247 yards on the ground, 0 in the air, and they lead by 10 right now.
Well, look at the other side of it, though, too.
And it started with Keaton's big kickoff return to set up a 39-yard touchdown drive.
Yeah, that's that boundary hash return. Doing a great job with the double team.
And, Coach, you were still going on about Ramsby as we went to break.
Look at that leg drive. Woo! You better hit that big man low.
Good luck. You might get a concussion if you hit your helmet on his thigh.
Woo.
So 247 on the ground for Willie Fritz's team. 218 in the air for Georgia State, but they only have 11 yards rushing, so it's been opposites just as we had anticipated. Panthers can throw the ball, can't run it. Eagles have been able to run the ball. It hasn't been that they can't throw it, they just haven't had to.
Well, they don't throw it really well. They did have the one swing pass on the screen for a big first down.
Ball goes out of bounds. So the penalty marker comes out on Koo, who's been a very good kickoff man for the Eagles. But that's going to give the Panthers really good field position for Nick Arbuckle as they come back out down 10 points. Arbuckle, 13 for 20.
Kick out of bounds. By rule, the ball will be placed on the 35-yard line. First down.
So good field position. Panthers on their last two possessions have gone 75 yards and 70 yards. Their last one was a 3-play drive capped on the 59-yard touchdown pass to Harden, who's now got 7 catches for 94 yards. And you brought up a good point, Coach. Can they stay in man-to-man coverage, the Eagles, or do they need to go to some zone here?
Well, I think they are going to have to play a little softer with their corners with some safety help over the top, but they still have got to figure out a formula to beat and to win against number 9 in the slot like he is right here.
They got Deion Stanley. He's the one who got torched by Harden on the last play.
They got that matchup again. It's man-to-man over here right now.
Yeah, look
they
at
got the same matchup, 9 versus 29. Maybe 29 went to the sideline and said, you know, it's my bad. I'll get him. We'll see. I put my money on 9 on that matchup. Now, you got to bring the pressure and get to the quarterback. That's going to be the key. If they're going to live by the sword, they're either going to win by the sword or they're going to die by the sword, one or the other. That time
Jay Ellison. Look at old big Jay Ellison. Can you believe he was a running back at Harris County, Georgia High School a little bit? Ran the ball a little bit?
Yeah, when you talk about getting your head down on him, that's the same thing. They got big guys on that Georgia Southern football team.
So 1st and 5 here for the Panthers. After
a little softer coverage here.
Underneath, and it's dropped by Ruiz.
No.
They're going to rule that incomplete. Joel Ruiz, who is normally a sure-handed tight end on the John Mackey Award watch list and one of the top statistical tight ends in the country, dropped one right in his hands, Coach.
Well, yeah, he runs a nice little zigzag route here. He breaks it out, breaks it back in against the linebacker who's trying to wall him off from the inside. That should be a big completion. You can't have those kind of drops in a critical game like this. Not on second down. First down and 5, I mean. Boy,
go to Blair. Blair, they've run that crossing pattern to Blair 3 times now, and each time it's been good for a first down.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, Georgia Southern, they do a big job with their inside linebackers walling off from the inside. They don't get a lot of depth with their inside linebackers, and they're trying to hit that zone between the linebackers and the safeties, and they're doing a real good job of it. You can't take away crossers and stop crossing routes, deep crossing routes. You can't do them both. You got to take away one or the other.
Caffey gets the handoff on the zone read, and Caffey, that's the first big run for the Panthers in their run game. Comes out of the zone read. Arbuckle gave it to Caffey. He picks up the first down around to the edge.
Yeah, that's the outside zone read here, and Caffey's got some speed. Look at him right here.
Got a good enough block by Ruiz out on the perimeter as well, and it's 1st and 10 for the Panthers at the 29-yard line of the Georgia Southern Eagles. 24-yard pickup right there. Again, the zone read, and again, Caffey gets it. Not much running room in the teeth of that defense. Edwin Jackson in on that tackle along with Antoine Williams.
The quarterback should be pulling the ball. That end is crashing down way too hard to be given that ball. I tell you, if Arbuckle pulls the ball one time on that, if they keep doing the same defense and really sending that end down inside hard, Arbuckle will be running up the hash.
2nd down and 8. Ball tossed up for grabs, jump ball, and intercepted! Wow, what a play out there on the edge by Darius Jones!
Now, that time, Georgia Southern won with pressure. Arbuckle panicked and threw the ball up. Pressure gets to Arbuckle here, right here. You can give credit to the defensive line and linebackers there. The pressure there gave it to the defensive back for the interception.
What an interception by the sophomore, Darius Jones. Looks like he was shaken up on the play. That is a heck of an interception right there by Darius Jones, who played volleyball with the football, kept it alive, and made a one-handed grab before he came down with it.
With 4 minutes to go here in the half, the most critical drive for the Georgia State defenses right now. They cannot allow them to get away from a 2-score game. They got to keep this a 2-score game.
Breida right up the middle and close to 7 on the play. Remember, the Eagles have scored touchdowns on each of their first 4 possessions in this game. They've gone 79, 82, 54, and 39.
I tell you what, they just keep pounding the rock, don't they?
Yeah, they keep pounding the rock, and eventually Breida's going to break a big one on you.
Say that offensive line for Georgia Southern, they just keep grinding it and grinding it. They're going to wear people down. They just keep pounding the rock. It has a long-term effect on a defense, and it's starting to show.
Coach, the Eagles are headed for a 300-yard rushing first half.
Yeah, yeah. But once again, the Eagles have taken themselves out of 2 scoring drives. This could be a tie football game right now, very easily.
Ellison, you meant the Panthers.
Yeah, the Panthers, I'm sorry. I get my Eagles and Panthers mixed up.
Well, they're both GSU, Coach, and they're both wearing blue. They're both from the state of Georgia. And that's what's going to make this thing such a great rivalry if Georgia State can be as competitive as Georgia Southern. Of course, historically, the Eagles got all the history on their side with the 6 national championships at the 1AA, now called the FCS level.
I also wore a Riddell suspension helmet. That might be the cause of this.
Breida tackled by Payne at the 34-yard line.
Well, right here on 3rd down, you got a huge down. You got to stop the run here. I wouldn't be playing pass. I'd be shutting down all the gaps here. If I'm going to get beat here by the long one, let them beat me on a long one. I got to stop 3rd and short. I got to stop the run. I got to stop diver quarterback right here. I don't think the pitch is what they're going to go with. The one they might have up their sleeve, though, is that hard play action ball. Dive all the way.
Ramsby picks up the first down to the 39. Eagles now 3 of 3 on their 3rd down conversions. 1st and 10 at the 39. Clock ticks under 2.5 minutes to play here in the first half.
You can see that Georgia State is making a lot of substitution in their defensive line, trying to keep them fresh because those big bodies from Georgia Southern are really leaning on them.
Ball bobbled by Ellison. He's in
Good
trouble
play.
and dropped
Good
for a big
play.
loss by Nate Simon. Sixth tackle of the ball game, and the first for loss for Nate Simon. He's another one of those California kids.
First-year JC player, so he's new to the system.
Out of Golden West Community College in Compton, California, or by way of Compton, California, where he played at Lakewood High School.
Lakewood High School.
I know you're familiar with that, having coached with so much success for so many years at Fresno State.
There's that swing route again. They got to rally to the ball. A lot better job, but you got to make the initial tackle.
Ramsby up to the 43-yard line. Gets 10 of it back.
There was a difference in 8 yards right there. The missed tackle. They're in position to make a tackle. You'll see it right here. Got to make that tackle.
Georgia State burns their first timeout of the half, stopping the clock with 1:15 on a 3rd and 6 coming up. So coach 57 yards away from the end zone and 75 seconds. 2 timeouts remaining. To make that 3 timeouts remaining for the Eagles, 2 for the Panthers.
Right.
What do you expect out of Willie Fritz and his crew here? Offensively, haven't thrown the ball a lot. Typically, you think 2-minute offense is an offense that needs the passing game, but you get the feeling that the Eagles can also break one off with the big.
Their big plays have come off the pitch on the perimeter, so they're probably devising some ways right now to make sure that they get hats on that alley runner. Whoever has the pitch in the option, they're going to make sure they get a big hat on. That's where they're getting their big gains.
3rd down and 6. Panthers burn that timeout there, anticipating that they can get a stop here and get the ball back.
I think Georgia Southern called the timeout. If I was at Georgia State, I would have let the clock run.
Well, according to the scoreboard, it says the Panthers called the timeout.
Yeah, I know, but
you thought the Eagles called it?
I wouldn't have called a timeout as Georgia State. I'd let that clock run.
Pass completion, but they did not get the first down. This ball goes to Showers, and he gets stopped in his tracks by Taras Batiste. And now it's going to be 4th down and short.
Now here's a decision you got to make. Do you try to return a punt, or do you go for the block?
And again, Georgia State calls the timeout.
See, I would have let that clock go on and run, but once again, that's why I'm up here with you.
Well, it's your protege. It's Trent Miles down there calling the timeouts, coach. He wants to get the ball back for his offense.
I agree with him, but right here, if they make this play on 4th down, they still got 108 and 3. They're full complements of timeouts. Because I believe Georgia State's going to go for the football. Why would you not try to run the football for 1 yard when you're averaging about 10 yards a carry? I'd imagine something like that. What are you averaging per carry right now on the stat machine?
I'm looking it up right now. They've got a total of 269. They're averaging 8.7 per rushing play.
And it's 4th and 1. What do you think?
I'd say the odds are in your favor.
Yeah, because it's a spread option. You still got a line up guy. Looks like they're bringing in the punt team. Well, my hat's off to Trent Miles because his gamble paid off. Now, here's the question: you're going to rush the punt, or you're going to try to get a return? The way they're lined up right now, looks like they're working on a return.
Don't know about a fake either, because they've got a bunch of big guys blocking in front of Hubbard, and it goes all the way back to Hubbard.
Well, they're not going to get a return here.
Fair catch is made at the 9-yard line by Harden, so they've got 61 seconds, 1 timeout remaining, 91 yards to go, but that's for the touchdown. They probably got to get about 55 to 60 yards to get in field goal range.
I was looking at their kicker stats. Let me tell you what I thought going into this game for Georgia State. I thought the magic yard line for them was going to be about the plus 35. If they could get it to the plus 35, they had a chance. You kick the field goal here, it's a 1-score game. Now, you got a team that can obviously move the ball in a 2-minute. You're going to see different coverages here. You're going to see a little bit deeper off coverage here. You're going to see the safeties deep, and that's what you got right here. You got one guy pressed on the top, but he's got a safety behind him.
Caffey trying to fool him there with the run play. Edwin Jackson making the tackle. Tackled number 5 for Jackson in this ball game, and the clock runs.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
No.
You use 2 timeouts. Now You're going to let it run out.
Yeah, you burn 2 timeouts, and then you call a running play. Again, Caffey, he picks up the first down. That'll stop the clock momentarily at 30 seconds. So clock moving again, and the Panthers in no hurry. Now they use their last timeout. Well, that's an interesting timeout because, Coach, if you get it downfield, you don't have any time to stop the clock to get the field goal unit on. Of course, you would be able to clock the ball, spike the ball. Just an interesting set of circumstances right there, using those 2 timeouts on defense to force a punt. Maybe they were just, it was the whole plan was contingent upon getting a good return. Starting at the 9-yard line, they might have said, let's just bag it and get to the locker room.
I think that's what he was thinking. But,
Yeah.
I thought he did a really good job. And let's give credit to Coach Minner and his defense making a stop. First stop of the game, first punt, came at a critical time because you're still going at halftime if nothing else changes with a 2-score differential, as opposed to the way Georgia Southern was moving the ball up and down the field, making it a 3-score game going in at the half. Would have been a lot tougher to overcome because the first team up with the ball to start this game in the second half is going to be Georgia Southern.
So 1st and 10 at the 22. Another handoff to Caffey, and he gets swaddled up.
We did add to the rushing yards.
They did increase their rushing total
There
going
you go.
into the locker room. That was probably the final play of the half right there. Coming up at halftime, going to take a look at former high school coaches Gus Malzahn and Hugh Freeze making a huge impact at the college level. Plus, we'll talk to new Georgia State AD Charlie Cobb, and we'll have highlights and stats from the first half. That is the end of the first half here at the Georgia Dome. Rivalry has begun in the Peach State. Georgia Southern taking a 27-17 lead on the Panthers to the locker room.
This is the Capital One Halftime Report.
Back at the Georgia Dome, Georgia Southern 27-17 lead on the host Georgia State Panthers. Matt Stewart along with Coach Pat Hill. And Coach, very fun first half, a lot of fireworks.
Very exciting first half, and Georgia State has played very, very hard, but it's a tale of 2 worlds, a run team against a pass team, and right now the run team has the upper hand.
Well, let's take a look at the first half highlights. Panthers scored on their opening possession, got the pass game going early to set up their first field goal.
Well, they said going into this game they had to win the one-on-ones on the perimeter, and they have. And if the pass blocking holds up, they can stay in this football game.
Meantime, when the Eagles got their hands on the ball, no new news here, they were able to run it.
Yeah, and they were winning on the perimeter with their wide receivers, but in another phase, blocking.
Ellison had the big rushing first half for the Eagles, close to 100 yards for the quarterback on the ground. But the Panthers and Harden and Arbuckle, that was a nice combination.
Yeah, that was a great timing route. They once again won against the man-to-man. Once again, here is a perfect example. Georgia Southern winning on the perimeter with blocking on the perimeter by the wide receivers. And here's the big one. Winning the one-on-one in the slot. Number 9, Harden. He's a force to contend with in this football game.
Last couple of weeks, Harden has been virtually unstoppable. But Ramsby, you talk about unstoppable. Now that's a bullet right there.
Well, they've got a big-time offensive line and 2 outstanding running backs, but we still got a lot of football left in this one.
And look at those yardage totals there. That is very interesting. Georgia Southern 269 on the ground, 34 on the ground for Georgia State, 230 in the air for the Panthers, only 25. Those are almost mirror images.
The one big stat that shows there is the 1 turnover by Georgia State was the difference in probably 7 points in this football game.
Plus a big penalty that had a 98-yard kickoff return called back, or we had a different ball game.
We might have a tie right now. This has been a heck of a football game, and I expect a great second half.
Should be a great third and fourth quarter. We'll have it for you when we get back. Georgia Southern and Georgia State have met 318 times in athletics, but for the first time ever in football here today. And as we start the third quarter, the Eagles with a 27-17 lead on the Panthers. Now, Coach, halftime's a great chance for fans to relax, but for Willie Fritz and Trent Miles, perhaps the most important part of the ball game, a chance to make adjustments for what happened in the first half.
Well, first of all, we need to talk about defensive adjustments. For Georgia Southern, their inside linebackers, they got to get depth to stop that deep dig route. They also got to get help on the perimeter on the one-on-ones over the top. For Georgia State, they got to figure out a way to win on the perimeter and stop the third part of the triple option, the pitch. They got to secure the quarterback, secure the dive, and have the pitch player be able to beat the block in the alley. And then those are the big adjustments I think that need to be made here in the second half.
Lutz to kick off. You saw Crockett standing deep along with Keaton. Both of those guys had big returns in the first half. This one will not be returned by Crockett. And so the Eagles will begin their first possession of the second half at the 25-yard line. They scored touchdowns on 4 of their 5 possessions in the first half.
Well, you know, we're going to see right now, first Georgia Southern had great success with pounding the ball inside with the power play and a little bit of success with the dive off the option, but the pitch on the option was the big one. Let's see what they do here starting out the second half. Georgia State, like we talked about earlier, they've got to have answers on the perimeter to beat the Georgia State receivers when they try to block them on the perimeter run, especially when the ball goes to the pitch back.
Well, they'll start the third quarter with both Ramsby and Breida on the field at the same time. Lined up behind Ellison. Ellison fakes, pitches to Breida. And Breida, there he goes!
Well, they had great blocks on the perimeter, and away they went.
75 yards on the opening play of the second half. Are you kidding me?
Now we're going to see this play again, but it was perfectly executed on the perimeter. The quarterback took it right to the player that had him, pitched the ball. Breida takes off, and the perimeter blocking, once again, the wide receivers from Georgia Southern demolished the defenders from Georgia State.
Second touchdown run of the ball game for Breida, and you were just waiting for that big one to break off. Breida does it at least once every game, and he just stomped 75 yards for the touchdown. Hines good on the PAT, and just like that, a 10-point lead is a 17-point lead after just 13 seconds.
Well, here it is right here. The dive, shut down, the pitch. Look at the blocks on the perimeter once again. 26, 12, 80. I mean, you got to get off blocks. You got to get off blocks. Here it is again. Number 6 trying to run that alley, just can't get there. Breida's too fast, but blocking on the perimeter by the Georgia Southern wideouts, outstanding.
75-yard touchdown run by Breida, and it is 34-17.
Here's a very important part of it. If you're a coach, you're talking to your offensive football team right now, you got to go out there, and there's still 14:47 to go in the third quarter. You got to stick with the game plan. You can't get impatient. You got to just pick your way back into this football game. But sooner or later, the defense is going to have to make a stop. There's been only one stop made by the defense of Georgia State today, and that was at the end of the first half.
Exactly. It's like a tennis game. You got to break their serve eventually, right?
Yeah, and the serve's coming awful fast.
A bunch of aces.
Yeah, that was a fast one.
Yeah.
That was like a Venus Williams 122-mile-an-hour serve. It was gone. Down the sideline.
A blur. They never saw it.
It was fast.
Koo, the kickoff. Sweeting, retreating, and taking a knee. And out to the 25 come the Panthers. We'll see if the Panthers can make it one and a score here, as they're going to take the ball at the 25. And Nick Arbuckle coming back out there with that offense. Arbuckle 14 of 22 in the first half for 230, a touchdown and 1 interception, 2 touchdowns and 1 interception. What's interesting, Coach, is they did not give up a sack. There was some heat on Arbuckle at times.
Yeah,
the Panthers' offensive line did not give up a sack.
No, they didn't. But that last pass, the pressure on that man blitz, that's what caused the interception.
Yep, 1st and 10, ball at the 25.
Starting off in their empty package, which was working for them early in the first half. Inside slot receiver to the field is going to be open here. There he is.
Intercepted and dropped by Stanley. Deion Stanley jumped the route and dropped it.
Well, he's looking to the sideline right now. Wide receiver's looking to the sideline. He was supposed to break that route out. I believe he was supposed to go outside with that route, not inside.
Well, Coach, you talked about adjustments a few moments ago. Georgia Southern scores on their first offensive play and nearly gets a pick on their first defensive play. I guess the adjustments were won by Georgia Southern.
So far.
And nothing doing on the ground game as Caffey gets thrown to the turf. Deshaunte Gallen there for the tackle. Gallen making his 4th stop of the ball game. So 3rd down and long coming up. Now you get a sense of urgency here, Coach. They got to move the sticks. They can't give the ball right back to Georgia Southern like this.
I'm real curious to see if they're going to try to hit that dig and see what those inside linebackers do. They've hit that dig pretty successfully. They're in man here. Man underneath.
Yeah, drop back in coverage right here, and they throw complete to Davis, and Davis came up short. Coach, he's got to get behind the sticks and make that catch. He came up a yard short.
Yeah, he does. They got him in man. They had what they wanted, and Davis he's got to get the sticks on this route. He's got to leave no doubt. I don't think he could have got the sticks there because that ball wasn't thrown very well.
So 3 and out for the Panthers. Matt Hubbard, averaging just under 37 yards per kick this season, comes out to punt. They've used a combination of Hubbard and Lutz. Usually depends upon where the ball is on the hash because they like the directional kick. On the right hash, they like to use Hubbard. Middle to left, they use Lutz. Fair catch caught in traffic by Butler. And at the 34, after a 32-yard kick, the Eagles go back on offense.
Well, losing a little bit in field position there. A really good field position off that exchange. That was not a very good punt. Fair catch, good field position for Georgia Southern, and they're going to go right back to work. I wouldn't be surprised if they don't try to attack them with the pitch again. The 3rd phase of the option has been outstanding today for Georgia Southern, and I keep exaggerating it, but the wide receivers for Georgia Southern are very, very important in this offense, but in a different look than opposed to most teams in the country. There's the pitch again. There's the alley.
Yeah, Crockett on the pitch. And Crockett not able to turn the corner against Nate Simon. Simon been very active. 8 tackles, leads the team today. Simon the safety.
Nate got in the alley pretty well, but the ball was forced back to the inside on the perimeter, and Nate was able to run the alley on that play and make the play.
Ramsby now in there at running back. 2nd down and 7. Eagles going for the 300th win in program history. Oh, nice fake by Ellison. Oh, my goodness. It's like the Harlem Globetrotters out there.
Yeah, that was Trent Hall, backup strong safety. And, you know, he had quarterback responsibility, and he tried to play both. You'll see it right here. He gets juked right here. He's got quarterback. Take the quarterback. They got a pitch player on the perimeter. That's a shame because that thing was well defense. Just do your job. Do your job.
Would not like to be Trent Hill in the film room tomorrow. 3rd down and 1, ball at the 43. Ramsby, 1st down carry across the 50. And Ramsby thought he had a chance to take it the distance had he been able to keep his feet. Things were opening up for him.
Yeah, he runs the power very well. That's the kind of running back I really love to have. He was a big, physical, downhill running back. They got 2 really good running backs with Breida and Ramsby. I'm very, very impressed. Plus a quarterback that can run.
Nickname LA stands for Little Al. His dad is Alfred Ramsby Sr. He goes by Little Al or LA.
Play action pass.
Crockett turns around and makes the grab, and it's a battle for it. Who's got it?
Offensive possession.
Yeah. Crockett wins that battle with Dartez Jacobs, a 22-yard pickup. Just the 5th completion for Ellison in this game on 6 attempts.
That's his, I believe that's his first really one downfield besides that little crow route. The others have been swings to the back.
Make that 6 out of 7 now.
That's pretty good completion average, though.
That's darn good.
His backwards pitches have been awesome, though.
Perfect on those.
Here it is right there.
Ramsby again running over that Georgia State defense. They're not hitting them until about 7 or 8 yards downfield. Ramsby now up close to 60 yards in the game rushing.
B.J. Johnson out with a real good block on the perimeter. I'll tell you what, these guys are outstanding blockers on the perimeter. Look at him. There's 12. He's still on the block. Number 80
moves the sticks. That was a 10-yard pickup, Coach. He's got 62 yards on the ground. His last 2 games really starting to break out. Went for 136 against New Mexico State and then 98 against Idaho. Ellison, this time they get him on the ground. Shawanye Lawrence making the tackle.
Well, look right here. The quarterback player plays the quarterback, and that's what you have to do. Number 3 has the quarterback. The pitch was taken. The quarterback's got to be taken. Everybody did their assignment that time. Easier said than done, but it was executed that time.
Ellison right at his per-game average rushing the ball. He's 12 carries, 95 yards, averages 95.6 a game, which is 3rd in the Sun Belt.
He's got a chance to be over his average this game. Swing. Oh, he takes it on the... fakes the swing draw.
He's over his average and more. Down inside the 10.
I think they blocked that draw. I think that was fake swing draw. He looked out to throw the swing. Get those defensive linemen thinking screen. Let's see what the line are doing. Let's see if it's blocked his draw. Yes, they blocked it as draw. 74 is downfield. So his fake swing, run the draw. Well executed.
And look at the big old number 75, Manry St. Amour, the senior center. Man, he was engaged in his block all the way down inside the 5-yard line.
We're going to give those guys some love right after this play. I'm going to name them off.
Breida.
Let me do that right now. That's Garrett Fry at left tackle, Darren Foreman at left guard, Mandre St. Amour at center, Logan Davies at right guard, and Raymond Klugli at right tackle. Those guys have done an outstanding job all day up front.
2nd down and goal. Georgia Southern trying to make it 6 out of 7 possessions. They've scored touchdowns in this game. Knocking on the door again. And Ellison did not get in. Stopped at the 1. Taris Batiste in on that tackle.
Well, I'll say this. I've watched Georgia State. I know they're 1-6. It's a new program. I mean, it's 5 years old. I'm going to give Georgia State an attaboy here. They have never quit playing in any game I've ever seen. These guys just keep playing. They're a little bit outmanned here today, obviously, but there is no quit in those Panthers. I'll tell you that. This program's going to get better and better under Trent Miles. And let's give Georgia Southern a lot of credit.
Yep.
These guys, I mean, they don't play down to anybody's level. They play at their level every week. This is an outstanding football team. And it's been an outstanding football game.
Eagles trying to improve to 5-0 in the Sun Belt in their first ever season in this conference.
Carl Benson, the commissioner of the Sun Belt League, was my commissioner for 15 years when I was in the WAC. I didn't see Carl here, but I'd like to send a shout out to Carl Benson and wish him the best of luck with the Sun Belt Conference. Good man.
11 members strong, Georgia Southern and App State, the newest members in this conference. And Georgia State just their 2nd year in. 3rd down and goal from the 1. Breida, touchdown. 3rd touchdown run of the game for Breida.
Old 37 power. They execute the blocks on the power very well. They block down, they double team off to the linebacker, they pull their offside guard, they lead their big back, number 46, up into the hole on the defensive end. 74 comes up in the hole. Nice job. Nice job. Well executed.
Hanks on for the PAT. And he pops it through. Coach, they'll just beat you any old way. The first time it was a 75-yard lightning strike. That time a 10-play, 66-yard bludgeon job. And it's 41-17 Eagles. Georgia Southern 41-17 lead on Georgia State as the Eagles have scored 2 touchdowns here in the first half of this third quarter. Willie Fritz took over as the Eagles head coach when Jeff Monken left for Army. Said he didn't really know what to expect, knew that he was inheriting a good team, a team that could win an FCS championship, but as you take a look at his resume, didn't know how they would be able to compete at the FBS. I think the answer is a resounding yes, successfully.
I agree with you. He also, one of the things he said when he talked to us was, this energy for this season really started in the final game of last year when they went to the Swamp and beat the University of Florida. Threw the ball 4 times the entire game and beat Florida in the Swamp, which is a great accomplishment. Georgia Southern is a football team that you better strap it on real tight if you play these guys. These guys can play and they'll get after you.
Koo kicks it out of bounds again, so the Panthers will take it to the 35. And just to follow up on that, 4 pass attempts, 0 completions, beat the Gators. They're winning here today, 41-17. Panthers back on offense when we get back. (41-17), Georgia Southern outscoring Georgia State 14-0 thus far. 13 plays from scrimmage for the Eagles here in the third quarter, only 3 for the Panthers. So, Coach, you would think incumbent upon Georgia State to put together a little bit of a drive here, preferably get points from their standpoint, but if nothing else, don't give the ball right back.
Yeah, but they got the kind of offense that can score quick. They've got a controlled passing game, and if they stay without being in third and long situations, second and long situations all the time, making those short gains and putting themselves in reasonable positions on first down, they got a chance to, move this ball very efficiently.
Empty set, 5 wides for the Panthers here on 1st and 10 from the 35. Far side throw for Robert Davis. Davis, an interesting story, came out of Northside Warner Robins High School here in the state of Georgia, one of the state powers. Is not a program that throws the ball. He had only 11 receptions as a senior, but Georgia State watched this young man, his blocking ability, watched him play basketball, watched his 6'10" high jump, and said, this is an athlete that we can use in our passing game. We've already seen his great pass catching ability today.
Yeah, he's got a chance to be a big-time receiver. Both he and Nine, good football players.
Gallon coming off the edge, nearly got to Arbuckle. Arbuckle shovels it forward, complete to Marcus Caffey.
I tell you, Arbuckle's a gamer. There's been one bad play by him today, but what a gamer here, just making something happen. I really like Nick Arbuckle. I think he's a good football player, competitor. A little story about him, at Westlake High School, he was a tight end. He was the backup quarterback. Then went to Pierce College, where he became the starting quarterback at Pierce Junior College in Woodland Hills, California.
3rd down and 4. Arbuckle again, far side target, ball up and caught by Robert Davis. Robert Davis making us look good, making another great catch out there. 28-yard reception for Davis.
Underthrown ball. Davis coming back to the ball, obviously has good strength.
6'3", 195, got a good build too, and he's just a sophomore. All kinds of contact that time, and there's going to be a flag out. That's right. Darius Jones had his hands all over Robert Davis.
They might have an offensive lineman downfield too. That play was designed to be a running play. Arbuckle just pulled the ball and took the one-on-one at the top. That might be an offensive lineman downfield.
And Edwin Jackson pointing in the Panthers' direction. And, Coach, you might be right.
Well, Arbuckle sort of improvised there. I don't think the lineman and the quarterback were on the same page. Quarterback saw one-on-one coverage at the top, but he was running zone read and pulled the ball and wanted to take it.
Number 63 on the offense. 5-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
Davis Moore, the reserve guard.
Yeah, they're downfield.
Yeah, you see right there. You're right, Coach. It was design run, and then Arbuckle changed the play, and the offensive linemen weren't aware.
Yeah, not everybody got that memo. That memo didn't get received by everybody on the team. That's too bad. Now there's an example where the quarterback's just trying to do a little bit too much there. Just run the plays called. You're down 41-17.
Penalty for an ineligible downfield. It will be second down.
They took the down. Okay, that's a good call. But just keep working the offense. You're down 41-17. Don't try to play sandlot football right now. Keep working at getting better as a football team.
Second down and 10 after the Eagles decline. Heavy rush, Arbuckle. In and out of the hands of Avery Sweeting.
That was definitely a catchable ball.
Looks like Baldwin Cooper, the corner, might have gotten his hand in there at the last second and broke it up.
Yeah, that was a well-thrown ball.
Third down and 10, ball at the 31. Arbuckle 272 in the air today. Averages 295, which is tops in the conference. Fires downfield again for Harden, and he dropped it. Oh my goodness.
You know, sometimes you just start pressing so hard. These kids want to win and play well so badly that they just tighten up. They're starting to tighten up now.
Oh my goodness. Had a touchdown written all over it.
Big thing now is as those guys come to the sideline, just keep your heads up, keep playing, keep swinging your pick, Panthers.
Lutz on for a 48-yard kick, and he is off the mark. And so the Panthers not only do not get the touchdown, they don't get three as Lutz is wide right. Now watch this play. You know, Harden drops it. Now watch Baldwin Cooper, the cornerback for Georgia Southern. He looks like he almost feels sorry for him. He helps him up. Watch this. Look at Cooper. That's like, man, I know you feel bad.
There was a break in coverage there. They'll be discussing that on the sideline because they only rushed 3 and dropped 8. There can't be a guy running down the seam that wide open.
So Harden head down over there on the bench as the Panthers come up empty. And now the Eagles back on offense with Fabian Upshaw in there at quarterback and hands off to Ramsby.
See, that play right there is not a good sign. When you can run the dive, they haven't given up like 7 or 8 yards on a pure just dive all night. I think the sword of the Panthers is being bent a little bit right here.
And with that run right there by Ramsby, I believe the Eagles go over 400 yards rushing for the game.
For the first time in the game, those two plays right there, you can see Georgia State's body language. Shoulders are down, hands on knees a little bit. They don't have the correct body language. And right now, the wear and tear of that big offensive line at Georgia Southern is starting to take its toll with a 41-17 lead right here, this part of the game.
Well, Coach, they've had 2 touchdowns taken off the board. They had the 98-yard kickoff return that was called back. And now they just had a touchdown dropped at the goal line by Harden. It should be 41-31 at the very least.
You can just see the body language. For the first time in the game, I'm starting to see guys walk a little bit, heads down a little bit, hands on the hips.
Wow, look at that rushing. 413 to 35. Like we said off the top, Coach, football's a simple game. I mean, it can be complicated, but it can also be simple. And the storyline here today was, could Georgia State stop Georgia Southern from running the football? Upshaw turns the corner. And Fabian Upshaw with that blazing speed gets to the corner quickly and picks up a first down.
Well-conceived play. The player that's got the quarterback responsibilities blocked on the edge by number 46, one of their backup Y's or H's or whatever you want to call them in their offense. They're fullback type player.
Cody Rediger, junior out of Houston, Georgia, Mill Creek High School. 1st and 10, ball at the 30. Upshaw again. Another first down for the Eagles, and they're picking them up in chunks now. That was 14 by Upshaw and then 11 by Upshaw. 25 yards running the ball for Upshaw on back-to-back carries.
Well, the body blows are starting to show their effect. Once again, number 46 out on the perimeter making a great block on the quarterback player. It's just too easy right now. But this is a process that's been going on now for 2.5 quarters, and Georgia State's finally starting to break down.
The Panthers looking for that oxygen mask to drop down out of the ceiling.
It's not going to happen. They don't call off the dogs here. There's a play. When you look at that play, that right there, if the quarterback would have kept, would have gone for a long ways.
First carry of the ball game for Ian Days. Days picked up about a yard on the play. 2nd down and 9. Ball at the 18-yard line. Clock ticks under 2.5 minutes to play here in the 3rd quarter. 3rd quarter has belonged entirely and completely to the Georgia Southern Eagles.
One thing about Georgia Southern, they are taking their time. They're taking the air out of the football. They're just, there's a block on the perimeter again.
Crockett down to the 5.
Once again, the pitch player, the man that has the pitch is engaged with the wide receiver. Cannot make a tackle when you're engaged with a blocker. You'll see it on the perimeter. The dive would have been there. But right there, number 26 can't get off the block. You got to get off the blocks.
Antrell Allen made the tackle. Nate Simon, who has 11 tackles today to lead the Georgia State defense, hobbles off the field.
That's a big loss. He's a good football player.
1st and goal to go for the Eagles from the 5-yard line. And they're getting double-digit yardage on pretty much every carry right now. Ramsby in the ball game. They bring in the power back on the goal line situation.
This is the power play right here. It's a knockout.
And that's a touchdown. And there's your knockout.
Too easy. It's just too easy. They have worn down this very thin Georgia State defense. They have worn them down.
So Ramsby scores his 2nd touchdown of the ball game, and it is 47-17. Ramsby with 2 touchdown runs, Breida with 3 touchdown runs, and it's officially turning into a rout here late in the 3rd quarter. Hanks, good. 48-17. 16.5 minutes left in this one at the Georgia Dome. Eagles about to be 5-0 in the Sun Belt and pick up their 300th victory all time.
Wow, what a play.
Georgia Southern leading Georgia State 48-17 in the waning minutes of this 3rd quarter. Matt Stewart along with Coach Pat Hill, and thanks for joining us at the Georgia Dome for Sun Belt football on ESPN. You know, Coach Willie Fritz told us, you know, when you take over as the head coach at Georgia Southern, where they've won 6 national championships, there are no such things as moral victories. And he told us that after they had lost those 2 games closely to ACC opponents, NC State and Georgia Tech. He said, you know, at Georgia Southern, you don't get a 5-year building program. You don't get a 5-minute building program. They expect you to come in and win right away. And Willie Fritz has done that here in year 1.
Yes, he has. He's a proven winner, though. He's done it at every level. Outstanding football coach, well-coached football team. And they're showing it here today. They're not taking any prisoners in this one.
Sweeting up to the 28-yard line. Tackle made by Vegas Harley. And this 3rd quarter has been all Georgia Southern. 21 points on the board, and they've shut out the Panthers here since halftime.
Yes, they have, and you got to give a lot of credit to Georgia Southern. You know, they come into this football game playing against a 1-6 football team, and they have not taken their foot off the pedal. They just keep executing, and that's the sign of a team that really knows how to win and has great focus.
220-43, their advantage in yardage here in this third quarter. Arbuckle set up the screen. They throw it to Ruiz. A tight end screen to Joel Ruiz. And that is just the second catch for Ruiz, who averages close to 5 per game, 5.2 per game, which is 7th in the conference.
Well, the screen is good here because, you know, everybody's rushing the passer right now. That's a well-conceived screen. You just have Ruiz step off. You got 2 wide receivers out in front blocking. Good pass rush out of Georgia Southern. That's when you want to throw the screen. You're not going to make a living throwing screens down 48-17,
nope.
but it gives you a great field position.
Maybe eases up the defense a little bit. That's coming full bore after your quarterback.
Yeah, they're not playing anything else but the pass right now, and those linebackers are dropping out. They're playing like what I call a Tampa 2. You see number 27. He does a lot of things for him. He's dropping off into the middle of the field. Deshante Gallen, the old Tampa 2 defense, they're playing too high now to make sure they don't get beat deep on the perimeter, and they're dropping 27 to the middle. So they're playing 3 deep, really. They're playing 3 deep, and the corners are playing a little softer. They're not going to let Georgia State beat them with the long pass anymore.
Final minute of the third quarter.
This is a check right here. They're basing it on Dobson being down weak, but he drops out if they bluffed it.
Arbuckle in trouble, and that'll be a quarterback sack as he slipped trying to spin.
That's a great job of bluff. They're keying Matt Dobson into the boundary. He's down into a blitz type stance, down low on the weak side into the boundary. He checks into a route into the boundary. They pull out of it, zone it out on that side. He's got nowhere to go with the football, which causes the sack.
Jamal Johnson gets credit for his second sack of the season, the easiest sack he'll ever get. And now it's going to be 3rd down and 22.
That's not a good situation. There's something happening down here.
Number 14 on the defense. 10 yards from the previous spot. The result of the play will be a first down.
That's one of the defensive backs, Tay Hicklin.
Jack Curtis, the defensive coordinator for Georgia Southern. He's a holdover from the last staff. Has done an outstanding job today. There's been several times that they've baited the quarterback into some looks, especially with that weak side roll into the boundary and then come out of it.
So instead of a 3rd and 22, it's a 1st and 10 from the 44. Caffey still finding very little running room on the play. Deshante Gallen again with the tackle. That's tackle number 5 for him.
And he's the backup. They've got good linebackers. He's the backup to Antoine Williams. They've got some good linebackers. The one thing I've really noticed about this Georgia Southern defense is they can run. They can really run.
They can really run. They've been running for 3 quarters and will run into the 4th with the Eagles on top by 31. Stewart coach Pat Hill with you as we start the 4th quarter. The Panthers 15 minutes away from falling to 1-7 overall and 1-5 in the Sun Belt, barring a dramatic comeback here. And coach, we look at their final 4 games on the schedule. You've been in this situation not often during your career, but when you were, what was your message to your team?
Well, when you're building a program and you're not having success on the scoreboard, you can still have success as a program by building your confidence. How you do that offensively right now is just stick with your offense. Don't try to fabricate things to score touchdowns. You're not going to probably get back in this game. Get better as a football team, and it'll pay dividends, maybe not this year, but with a young football team in the future. Don't get away from your basics and fundamentals. Get better at Panther football.
2nd down and 11 for the Panthers from the Georgia Southern 44 to start this 4th quarter. Underneath they go. Completion up to the 35-yard line or down to the 35-yard line, and that's Donovan Harden making the grab.
Now right there's a perfect example. Blitz side adjust. Hit Donovan Harden. Great job by the quarterback. Great job by Harden. That's what they got to do. That was crisp. Just keep working on what you do, and it'll pay off later.
Harden with his game-high 8th catch puts him over 100 yards receiving for the game. 3rd down and 2 from the 35.
Here they come again. They got man coverage. Can they get it off?
They're going for it. And it's caught over the shoulder by Harden for the touchdown.
Same matchup. Number 2 receiver Harden on Deion Stanley in the slot. That's a matchup they wanted. They've gotten him twice. They've capitalized on it twice.
How about Harden making up for that touchdown catch he dropped at the goal line? He's got 3 today. He should have 4.
Offensive line doing a good job inside, giving him time to throw it, but there's the matchup. Same matchup they got earlier. Georgia State's just got to keep working on what they do. Early in my career at Fresno State, when we were playing Oklahoma and they were number 1 in the nation, we're down 31-0 at halftime. The ESPN sideline reporter asked me, well, what are you going to do in the second half? Nothing's working for you in the first half. I said, we're going to keep working on what we do, and we're going to win the second half. That's what we're going to work on. Don't even talk about winning the game. Talk about winning the situation. And the situation is now just win the second half. Win the fourth quarter.
First minute of the fourth quarter, Georgia State cuts it to 48-24, and then Trenton Miles had his team together on the sideline. Coach, what's the message?
Well, the message here is just what we were talking about. Trent worked for me for 3 years. He's been through a building process with me and a couple of his own. He's telling this team, you'll see him here in a minute, he's just talking to him. He's talking to them about how proud he is of their fight. Just keep playing Panther football. All of you, just don't worry about the score. Don't look at the scoreboard. Just keep playing. And when the game's over, if we don't win it, we weren't good enough. But it wasn't because of our effort. It was the things we got to do is get better. Keep working. Keep swinging your pick. He's talking to number 9 right there. He's talking to him. He's saying, hey, that's a great job. That's what that football team needs right now. They're a little bit outmanned here, obviously, but they're still fighting. Now, the defensive side of the ball, they got to step up this series and do something.
Looks like the Panthers are thinking about onside. At least that's what Georgia Southern was thinking as Lutz kicks it into the end zone. And the ball will come out to the 25.
Nah, you don't onside kick there. This game right now, they got to make their defense go out and play on a long field. Now, it's up to the defense. Hey, we got to make a stop. It might not be Georgia Southern's start. It don't matter who's starting, who's playing. We got to play Panther defense. We got to make a stop. We got to keep playing this game as if it's 0-0. Keep fighting, keep swinging, keep playing. And that's the message you got to send. Because you're going to have games like this. I don't care where you are or who you are. You're going to have games like this.
So Eagles go back out there on offense with Ellison at the quarterback. Ramsby was 4 carries, 37 yards on their last touchdown drive, but they got Breida back out there now. And Breida gets the handoff. Nope, Ellison on the keeper. And Ellison up to the 31-yard line, picks up 6 more. That'll put Ellison at 115 on the day. 2 100-yard rushers for the Eagles today. Breida's at 132, Ellison now at 115, and Ramsby's got a shot at making it a triple with Ramsby at 92.
Yeah, he got hit pretty good right there.
And that's what's happened when you play that option. Quarterback's got to be a tough son of a gun. And it's 2nd down and 4.
Big down right here. Got to make a stop. Stop the dive. No.
They don't. Breida gets the first down at the 38-yard line.
That offensive line for Georgia Southern, you can see a wall of white coming off that football now. They cover people up. They got some wide bodies up front. Very big in the lower body. The hips, big hips. It's a nice way of saying it.
All 3 of their 5 starting linemen from the Atlanta area. Number 63 Foreman is from Dunwoody High School. Number 75 St. Amour, the center, is from North Gwinnett, and Kluge, the right tackle, number 70, is from Norcross Georgia High School. Norcross has won the last 2 state championships, and there goes Breida again. Smoke coming off his heels. That's another touchdown run for Breida. 61 yards. That puts him over 200 for the game.
It's just zone dive. Wow. Number 74. You'll see number 74 here. Big Logan Davies. Watch the right guard. There's movement. He knocks his man clear out of there. Big block by Logan Davies, Springs Breida. He does the rest. Boy, he can hit the hole and accelerate.
4th touchdown run of the game for Breida. He's had a 75 and now a 61-yard touchdown run. He's got 201 yards, Coach, on 12 carries.
It's not a bad day.
Is now 55-24.
Well, you'll see once again the right side of the line here. Just there's nobody around in blue shirts. Look at him getting knocked back. This kind of reminds me of that Oklahoma game I was referring to earlier, where they have a little Sooner wagon with little white horses that pull it around, and we were down 31-0 at the half. They had to put those horses to bed because they were awful tired. And if Georgia Southern, if that eagle were flying today, he'd probably be grounded right now.
Georgia Southern about to have a 5-game winning streak, 5-0 in the Sun Belt.
There's the eagle. You know, but they don't play Louisiana Lafayette
or Arkansas State.
Arkansas State. That's really a shame because those are the other teams in this conference that, after watching a lot of film, that's the guy. Listen to the crowd here, the Georgia Southern crowd. The Eagles are flying, and they are appreciating the performance of their white-clad Georgia Southern Eagles. And the fans in white over there, they are standing up and showing their appreciation. This is a good crowd here, though, today. Georgia State's got a good crowd, but that Georgia Southern crowd, they're showing some appreciation for their Eagles.
Haven't gotten an attendance number just yet, but it likely
this looks like close
top
to
3, maybe top 2 crowds in Georgia State history. Their #1 crowd ever was 30,000 plus for their first ever game against Shorter College back in 2010.
This isn't 30.
But they're close to it. Their second largest was Clark Atlanta, 26,000, and they had a shot at eclipsing that number, they felt.
I tell you what, I was very fortunate to be able to coach for the Falcons a couple years, including that year we went to the NFC Championship. And when this place is full and it is rocking, it's a great place to be the home team.
Sweeting from the goal line. And Sweeting gets body slammed by Darius Jones. Darius Jones, who's already got a great interception in this game. And this is a wrestling move right here, Coach.
Yeah, that might be called in the new age of football, but that's just football right there. He's not doing anything intentionally. He just put an explanation point on that tackle.
That's right. 1st and 10 from the 22. Zone read, and Arbuckle keeps it this time. First time he's kept the ball, and the ball is out. Did the Eagles get on top of it? Ball popped out late. Yeah, the Eagles got it.
It's like Deion Stanley. He's been beat a couple times for touchdowns today, but Deion Stanley's made a lot of plays in this football game.
And the Eagles will take over at the 26-yard line after the fumble recovered by Deion Stanley. And Georgia Southern's looking at a shot of putting 70 on the board here before this thing is over.
Great job by 56. Bernard Dawson just reaching in there and yanking the ball out.
And I mentioned that was the first carry for Arbuckle on that zone read, and now we see why perhaps. That's the second turnover forced by this defense. Fabian Upshaw now in there. Ian Days with the carry. Fresh legs, and Ian Days nearly broke it right there as he picks up the first down with an 11-yard carry.
Well, Willie Fritz, you know, he talks a lot about ball security on offense and stripping the ball and taking it away on defense. And he explains that every day they work on drills, how to strip the football. And there was a perfect example on that last play, and we'll hope to get it back up on a replay of how Georgia Southern attacks the football and strips it out. And he's a firm believer that turnover battle, if you win the turnover battle, you're going to win. And in his career as a coach, +1 in the turnover battle has been 91% wins, and there's another touchdown.
Untouched Ian Days with both carries as he covers the 26 yards after the fumble by Arbuckle. Goes for 11 and then 15, and it is 61-24.
You know, going back to that turnover, once again here, offensive line, look at that. Unbelievable blocking. you know, a couple quotes he gave us the other day when we had him on our conference call was, when you win the run game by at least 1 yard, it's a 91% win. Well, they won it by about 500 yards today. If you win the turnover battle by +2, it's a 100% win for him in his career as a coach. And they've got 2 turnovers today, and they're on their way to making sure it's a 100% win.
It was a 10-point game at halftime. Georgia Southern has dominated the second half. Another touchdown for the Eagles as Ian Days goes untouched into the end zone. The Georgia Southern fans said they wanted to make this game at the Georgia Dome a home game. They have done that. The Eagles leading Georgia State 62-24 here in the fourth quarter. Matt Stewart and Coach Pat Hill on down every door at Georgia Southern. Coach's office, athletic trainer room, film room, weight room. You will find these signs. Plan to win. It's the Don James, taken from the coach Don James plan to win. Number 1 on the list is take care of the football or get the football from the opponent. Number 2 is running the football, and they've excelled in both of those categories here today, Coach.
Right. Mine's about protecting the football, and they've done a good job with that. So the signs mean something. You know, do what you say and mean what you say, and do what you say. And how's that saying going? Do as I say. Mean what you
Not
do.
as I do, or whatever. But
whatever it was, they're listening to these signs.
Yeah,
I'll promise
exactly.
you that.
And Coach got this from Don James, the legendary coach who started at Kent State and then went to Washington. And Gary Pinkel, who coached or played for him at Kent State and then coached with him, and now, of course, at Missouri, has adopted a similar philosophy. But you will find this on the door of every room in the Georgia State football facility, and they live by it.
Well, they're obviously buying into it.
Panthers having trouble getting on top of that kickoff, and finally do.
You can have all the signs you want, but you got to make sure the players are buying into what the signs say. And obviously, the Georgia Southern players are buying into what's said on the signs.
And I thought, I think that you made a great point as you take a look at the 558 yards rushing for Georgia Southern today, and only 38 for Georgia State. And,
boy,
you know, in this day of spread offenses and all that kind of stuff in the passing game, if you can still run the ball down your opponent's throat, you will win.
I believe that. I believe that.
It hasn't changed from the days of Nuke Rockne, not that much. The strategies, the X's and O's, and the schemes may have changed, but the philosophy hasn't. If you are more physical than your opponent, if you beat them at the line of scrimmage, and if you can run the ball on them, you will win the game. Impose
your will. And that's what Georgia Southern has done here today. They have imposed their will on the Panthers of Georgia State.
Meantime, it's been a big day for Donovan Harden, even though he dropped a touchdown pass. He would have had 4. He's got 3 here today. Caffey got hit right away in the backfield, was able to get by that and back to the line of scrimmage and get to the 39-yard line. Running backwards, picked up a couple of yards.
Georgia Southern has most of their backups in the football game now. They're getting a lot of valuable experience in a game like this, where Georgia State is still working with their first unit, which they should. They need to get better as a football team.
Pass complete to Ruiz for a first down across the 50-yard line. You know, Coach, you took the words right out of my mouth a few moments ago when you were talking about the schedule for Georgia Southern, the fact they do not play the defending conference co-champs in Louisiana Lafayette and Arkansas State. That's a shame, because I would love to see them matched up against both of those teams.
Yeah, that would be good to watch.
You'll have to wait until next year for that, because there are 11 teams in the league. You can't play everybody. It's Robert Davis on the catch and run.
They're trying to strip the ball here.
And finally blow the whistle on him at the 36-yard line. But Georgia Southern, with remaining conference games against one-win Troy, Texas State at Texas State, that should be a tough test, and then their finale against Louisiana Monroe.
Be a good game.
That'll be a great game. Pass complete.
Harden,
his 4th touchdown of the day. 36 yards. 4 touchdown passes for Arbuckle. All of them have gone to Donovan Harden. And it is 62-30.
man drop, 3-man rush. There can't be those kind of windows. This is their backups, but there can't be those kind of big windows when you're dropping 8. Let's give credit to Arbuckle, though. I tell you, the young man's a competitor, and he can throw the football. Georgia State, if they can grow and mature on defense, they've got enough offense to compete.
31 points on the board here today, and it is 62-31. 5 minutes into the fourth quarter.
Yeah, we talked about having 100 points here today, and right now we got 93 on the board.
A 5-play, 75-yard drive. Harden 11 catches for 186 and 4 touchdowns. Biggest day ever for a Georgia State wide receiver, and biggest day ever against Georgia Southern for a wide receiver.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, it wasn't too long ago. I think it was like 2010. We played Wisconsin in a football game. It was 13-10. No wonder people were booing. There wasn't enough excitement. Football's changed. It's turned into a high-scoring game, and you got to be able to score at least 30 if you want to compete. Well, Coach, on a week-in, week-out basis.
Oh, absolutely. You mentioned it a few moments ago, Coach. 28,427 is the official attendance number here today. That is the second biggest number ever for a Georgia State football game.
Wow, congratulations, because Georgia State in their 5th year of their program, I want to wish them the best of luck. I was over at their facilities the other day and got to meet a lot of people, and you know, it not only tough starting a program, but in your 5th year playing it at the highest level.
Pooch kick falls in no man's land, and who's on top of it?
Southern got the ball.
That was a smart kick there by Lutz. You found a hole behind that front line and drop it in there and let your guys try to race to it, and they nearly got to it, but the Eagles will take over after Crockett was able to cover it at the 37-yard line.
You know, we were talking about it earlier in the broadcast. You know, Georgia Southern started their program in 1981 with Eric Russell, great football coach.
You hear the 5-yard penalty against the Panthers.
They won 6 national championships at what used to be 1AA, then FCS. This year they moved to Division FBS, Football Bowl Conference, or Division I football. 5 years. This is the 5th year of Georgia State football. 2 years ago, their last year in FCS competition, they were 1-11 when Trent Miles took over the program. We're talking about teams that won national championships to a team that was 1-11 in that conference, and now they're playing in the highest level of college football. So Georgia State's got a ways to go, but Trent Miles and his staff, I believe they can get this thing done, and they've got the support of a university that really wants to make it go here at Georgia State. There's been talk about them purchasing Turner Field. $300 million they've proposed in the takeover of Turner Field to make that their home field. And that's outstanding to know a school wants to do that. I look at their facilities. Their practice facilities are brand new with a turf field, a beautiful Bermuda field. They're going to be building a new weight room. The offices are nice. They are making some strong moves at Georgia State to be competitive in Metro Atlanta and be a competitive football team, and my hat's off to them.
Isaiah Ute in there at quarterback now for Georgia Southern, the 3rd-team quarterback for the Eagles. Devin Scott gets the rock again. You brought up the Turner Field concept. It's something that I talked to new AD Charlie Cobb about at halftime. What, of course, they would do is retrofit it. Of course, it's a baseball field right now for the Atlanta Braves until the 2017 season when the Braves move into their new stadium. And then Turner Field would be empty. They would have to retrofit. It would be the 3rd time that they've retrofitted that stadium. At one time, it was a 70,000-plus seat Olympic Stadium,
right,
which they converted into a 45,000 seat thereabouts baseball stadium, and now they're talking about a 30,000 seat football stadium.
I think it'd be outstanding. You just love to see young programs that have goals and aspirations to really be special, and I think Georgia State really has that.
UU. Special run for him as he gets inside the 25-yard line. 30-yard run for the third-team quarterback.
Well, it's turned into really a Sunday night football, what I used to call Sunday night football, when your backups get all their playing time. Or when my sons used to play in middle school, they called it the fifth quarter. All the young people that didn't get to play that much in the first four quarters got to play. There's no dive fake. This quarterback's just running.
It's a Sun Belt game. You got to figure he was thinking, I'm probably not going to get any snaps today, but with a 62-31 score, he's in there right now. We have a Panther player down on the field.
That's their
at
top
the,
player.
47-yard line, and that is their top all-time tackler, Joseph Peterson.
Hopefully he's not hurt, because he's a good football player and a good young man. He's only a junior, and he's the top defender. They're looking at his ankle right now. It's good it's not a knee. It might just be an ankle sprain. And if it's a lower ankle sprain, they don't take as much time. But if it's a high ankle sprain, you know, that's a good, he might miss the rest of the season. So I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to make any predicaments on that. But you hate to see a warrior like that come out of the football game.
Tough right there. Joseph Peterson with 7 tackles today. Peterson, the number 3 tackler in the Sun Belt, averaging 11.3 per game, came in with 79 and is the all-time tackle leader in Georgia State history. And having a hard time putting any kind of weight whatsoever on that right ankle. And remember, the Panthers go on the road at App State in their next ball game.
He was an all-state player in the state of Alabama, just an undersized linebacker, came to Georgia State and done an outstanding job here. Hate to see football players leave the game, and hopefully he'll be fine.
Well, Jesse Minter says that Joe Pete, as they like to call him, is their best player on defense. He's their best pass rusher, and he's their best cover guy.
Yeah, he is their best football player. I talked to J.D. Williams, their secondary coach, a lot about him. And J.D., who coaches their secondary, started for 6 years with the Buffalo Bills, played in 4 Super Bowls. I was an assistant coach at Fresno State when J.D. was playing there, and his first coaching job was with me at Fresno State as a graduate assistant. Some really good young coaches on this staff with some really good veteran coaches, Tim Lopano, and who coaches the wide receivers, and another one, Jeff Jagosinski, outstanding football coach, the offensive coordinator, who was the head coach at Boston College, Coach Matt Ryan, and outstanding football coach. They got some outstanding football coaches on this staff, and I believe as their players get older and more mature and they really learn the program, I really believe they've got the staff and the people in place to make Georgia State a viable opponent in this conference.
Meantime, Georgia Southern already is here.
Georgia Southern is. There's no doubt.
Here in year number 1, they might win the conference championship. Unfortunately for the Eagles, because they are still in that transition from FCS to FBS, they can't play in a bowl game this year. The only qualification that would allow them to play in a bowl game is if there were not enough FBS eligible teams to fill out the entire bowl roster. Then they would get the opportunity. That's highly unlikely. But they've got an excellent chance to be the outright conference champion if they can run the table here and finish 8-0. Of course, the only other undefeated team in the conference right now is Louisiana Lafayette. I'll get a chance to see them next Saturday. I'll be in Lafayette, Louisiana, to watch the Ragin' Cajuns play host to South Alabama. The Jaguars improved to 4-1 in the conference last night with a victory over Troy. And, of course, their only conference loss was at home to this Georgia Southern team.
Yeah, there's some really good football in the Southland Conference. Very good athletes, especially on defense. When I'm watching the film, that's what I notice the most is the defensive players in this conference, especially the pass rushers. South Alabama has a couple really good edge rushers.
Ute runs for the first down at the 9-yard line.
I've got a Southland Conference game. I mean, I got a Sun Belt game next week at Idaho in the Kimmie Dome with the University of Idaho against Arkansas State. I'll be flying into Pullman, Washington.
Yeah, Idaho is that one place in the conference that's not very easy to get to.
Well, New Mexico State's not that easy either. Got to fly into El Paso and bus it about 60 miles. I've made that trip before.
Las Cruces.
Las Cruces.
First and goal to go. Ian Days. Actually, is that Ian Days, or we got another running back in there? And we got another running back in there getting the carry. Dennis Pritchard, local kid from Auburn, Georgia. That's right, there is an Auburn, Georgia here in the Atlanta area. And Pritchard runs for the touchdown, and it is 68-31.
The wonderful SID from Georgia Southern just brought me some interesting stats. Breida at 1,031 yards rushing this season. First 200-yard rushing game since 2011 for the Eagles by an individual, and first 4 TD rushing game by an individual since 2012.
Wow, Coach.
Thank you, Rose. Rose was my SID at Fresno State for 3 years.
I tell you what, they're going for 2 here to hang 70 on Georgia State. Now, you talk about pouring some salt in the wound in the rivalry.
Yeah,
wow.
I don't like that decision.
That'll
come back to haunt you. I'm going to give you another example.
Well, if you want to make it a rivalry in a hurry, you do that. You go for 2 right here to put 70 on the board, and you're going to have some hurt feelings.
I'm going to give you an example. In 1997, my first year at Fresno State, we played Colorado State, Sonny Lubbock's team. They were an outstanding football team. They called timeout at the end of the game to kick a field goal to make it 41-3 instead of 38-3. After that game was over.
Well, look at Trent Miles. I think the body language and the stare across the sideline at Georgia Southern, he is standing outside of his huddle. He is not in his huddle. He is standing outside his huddle, hands on hip, and looking across at the Georgia Southern huddle.
Well, I had this experience once against Colorado State my first year, and they called a timeout to hang it from a 38-3 to 41-3. I made my players come out, walk down the tunnel, look up at the scoreboard, and I said, you know what, in 2 years those guys are coming back to Fresno, and I'll promise you one thing, we're going to put it on them. 2 years later, they came back, it was 48-10, Fresno State. So, you know.
Well, they changed their mind here. They called the timeout, and they bring the kicker out instead of going for the 2.
But still, the gesture. The gesture's not right. Yeah. The gesture's not right. And I don't think Coach Fritz really planned that. Maybe the players stayed out there. I don't know. They might not have known it was a touchdown. That might have been it. That might have been it. I don't know. I can't see Coach Fritz doing that.
Well, Hanks comes on for the PAT. Well, I tell you what, there's going to be some hurt feelings about that at the end of this ball game. And for this rivalry going forward, you know what? You're right. And you can tell that Trent Miles not happy about that. But it's going to turn up the heat on the rivalry. You're going to take what is a 1-game rivalry and really turn up the heat on it when you do something like that. It is 69-31. Dennis Pritchard takes it in.
We hit our 100.
We did. 100 even combined here at the Georgia Dome. Pritchard gets the carry, gets the touchdown. And Georgia Southern's going to get the win. 4:44 to play. Georgia Southern leading Georgia State 69-31, turning what was a 10-point game at halftime into a rout here in the second half. And time now to salute our Capital One Cup impact performance. And, Coach, we're giving it to the offensive line specifically for their blocking. 616 yards rushing today.
Well, they deserve it. The offensive line played an outstanding football game, opening huge holes all day. And, you know, sometimes the big boys up front don't get enough credit, but today they get all the credit. Let's also give some love to the wideouts. They did an outstanding job on the perimeter in this game. And I'll tell you, that offensive line for Georgia Southern, they got my vote easily.
49 yards short of the all-time record of 665 yards rushing against Glenville State back in 1994 when Irk Russell was the head coach.
They might still get it if they get the ball again.
The late Irk Russell. And I know Georgia Southern fans are still continuing their campaign to get Irk Russell in the College Football Hall of Fame. Do you realize, Coach, that he is not eligible for the College Football Hall of Fame because he did not coach 10 years? That is hard to believe. And that is a real injustice, if I may commentary and editorialize for just a moment, because if anybody as a coach deserves to be in the College Football Hall of Fame, one that's now headquartered in Atlanta, Irk Russell would be the guy. I mean, he took this program for nothing. All they had was Eagle Creek in some tattered uniforms when he started that program, and he turned it into the best probably the best ever at the FCS level.
They're awful. I mean, he was an outstanding coach. And you know what? An outstanding person. Just a man. He was a man. And a great coach at University of Georgia, a great head coach. And I'd vote for him for the Hall of Fame. That's what it's all about. People like him, people that took something from the ground level up, took him from the bottom to the top. And you know what? He deserves it.
I'd like to see some of his contemporaries, those guys that were his fellow coaches, either opponents or with him during his day, to take a stand and get him in the College Football Hall of Fame, even though he is no longer with us. So Ronnie Bell comes in to take over at quarterback now that Arbuckle's day is done. Ronnie Bell, the starting quarterback a year ago. Handoff goes to Gerald House.
The thing that's so impressive about the Georgia Southern defense, doesn't matter who's in the game, they play gap cancellation defense so well. And what I mean by gap cancellation defense, there's A gaps, center guard, B gaps, guard tackle, C gaps, tackle tight end, and then D gap outside. They're always filling the gaps. There's no big plays to be had, especially in the run game, against that type of defense. They're very disciplined in what they do. And that's probably because they play against the option every day and they have to be disciplined in practice.
Bell will hand off to
See that right there?
House.
There's nowhere to go. He can't hit it inside. He tries to bounce outside and bang, stop. It hasn't been all bad news like he said.
Yeah, how about Donovan Harden? 4 touchdown catches to set a school record for Harden today. And Harden with 186 yards receiving on 11 catches. And he dropped a touchdown pass, too.
That's right. He did. He did.
He would have had 5.
But
all of Arbuckle's touchdown passes going to Harden today.
Well, there's no doubt that Georgia State can throw the football with Arbuckle at the controls and the big receivers that they have on the outside with Harden and Davis. You know, they've got a chance to build this program.
That's House on the carry. He's close to the first down.
Trent's just trying to take the air out of the ball.
Yep.
He wants to get off the field, get it over with.
Yep. Especially after what happened after the last touchdown, I would think.
4th and 1, they just might go for it right here. Put them in a situation where you have to make a first down. This is a good learning experience right here. Show your offense that you have confidence in them. Let's see if you can tough it out and get this 1 yard that you need. It's backups versus backups. Let's go.
I feel like I'm on the sideline at Fresno State here at practice, listening to you, Coach.
Quarterback sneak good. Uh-oh, fumble.
Yeah, they're going to blow it
They're
dead.
going to blow it dead. But, you know, that's just, you know, you're looking out there and you're telling your team, let's end this game, and you keep the ball, hold on to the football. I've got confidence that you can make a yard. Good job.
Yeah, kind of like what you were talking about earlier. Let's win the moment. Obviously, we're going to lose the ball game, so this is our goal for the final 4 minutes. We're not going to give the ball back.
Well, what you tell them, hey, we're going to play Panther football. Don't look at the scoreboard. When the game's over, you can look at the scoreboard. Hey, if we didn't win because we weren't good enough. And that's what it's all about. We got to get better, but we got to keep working at it. Every play, just like you said, win the moment. Right now it's important. Just run out the clock. Don't let the Eagles get the ball back.
Win the moment. Georgia Southern has won the day.
Right. Exactly right.
Eagles putting 42 points on the board in the second half.
When you're coaching young men, when you're coaching young men, you want to make sure that you're always talking about the positive. The glass is always half full. You know, talk about the positives. Good self-talk principle. Always talking about confidence. Just trying to boost their confidence. Right now, finish the game. Learn how to ice the game. This is a situation where we're winning the game. We're trying to ice a football game. We're not winning the football game, but this is a situation that we're going to have someday at Georgia State. How to finish a game. Ice the game. Get into your 4-minute offense and win the game. Now, obviously, they're not going to win the game, but it's a situation. That's bad.
Eagles got it back.
That's bad right there. But you know what I'm saying. With the situation you got to do here, we're going to be ahead someday, and we got to hold on to the ball.
Well, and
they got to work on that too.
You're right, exactly right, and your point is well taken. If that indeed was you know, the situation they were calling for. Let's go and we're going to practice trying to put the game away, even though we're not. Well, they did a bad job of it right there. They didn't. If this is a tight game, they've just given the opponent a chance to win it. Of course, didn't win the example either. Well, so Georgia Southern takes over at the 43.
Yeah, but once again, for a young football team, he'll take a knee. They'll take a knee here. You got to just. You're always working on situations, and in a losing effort, that was a situation they could have got better at.
So the Eagles going to end this game in a 69-31 victory for Georgia Southern today. Willie Fritz and his team continues its march through the Sun Belt in year number 1. They will now be 5-0 and 3 wins away from a perfect run through the conference in year number 1. 6-game winning streak now for Georgia Southern, 6-2 overall, and they'll play host to Troy on Thursday night on ESPNU at 7:30. So the whole nation will get a chance to watch this Georgia Southern team in action against the Troy Trojans on Thursday night.
Let's watch the handshake, see how this one goes. It was good. It was all right.
So 69-31 the final. Georgia Southern wins this first ever meeting against their state rival. And in the process, Coach, they pick up the 300th victory in program history.
Oh, that's great. Georgia Southern's got a heck of a football program, and Georgia State's trying to build one. So a lot of work still needs to be done at Georgia State. And Georgia Southern's on the verge of maybe winning a championship in their first year. How
about that? A conference championship still in the making for Georgia Southern. They're 3 wins away from it. They win it here today, 69-31. And now for Coach Pat Hill and the entire ESPN crew, I'm Matt Stewart. So long from the Georgia Dome, where the Eagles fly into Atlanta and fly out with a victory.